Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Smark Guys, episode 14, the WrestleMania 41 Super Show, being broadcast live on DSPReacts as well as on my Kick channel, DSP Gaming Reel. So welcome to what will be my longest wrestling commentary show in history. That is correct. Even back in the day, when I used to do wrestling commentary, I never did a show this long, okay? So, let's really talk a little bit, all right? Today is Monday, the 21st of April, 2025. I'm DSP, and this has been an interesting 4 months, to say the least, okay? And what do I mean by that? Well, for those of you who know or don't know, I used to do this wrestling commentary show called Smark Guys way back when. It actually started as a piece of content that I did around like 2011, 2012-ish. Around the era of CM Punk's big, mic drop run in WWE, the era of The Shield debuting and all of that stuff. In fact, it actually began around the time when you had the Nexus. Remember, you were either Nexus or Against Us. I think that's where we actually started the show and started using the Nexus theme song as this show many years ago. Back then, I mostly did it because I wanted to look for a variety of content I could put on the internet that I could monetize. And then it ended up being a fun show to do with a friend of mine for variety content. We were both lifelong wrestling fans, and it ran many years, 2-3 years there, until I finally moved out of Connecticut across the country to Washington State, and the show basically was retired. But the thing was, it wasn't originally meant to be retired, okay? The show was meant to continue, but it just didn't work out that way. So for many years, people said, DSP, will you do wrestling commentary again? Will you ever get back into it? And I always answered, I don't know, maybe, maybe not. I don't know how the show would feel without having the original host on and stuff like that. And so I continued to play pro wrestling games and things like that, but I didn't really do much else. Now, fast forward to around 2020, COVID hits, and basically pro wrestling now ends up being without a crowd. It completely turned me off. And so for a 5-year stretch, I didn't watch pro wrestling at all. Seriously, I just stopped entirely. I stopped playing the games. Like, pro wrestling stopped being a part of my life for a good, 5+ years of time. And so a lot of people kind of moved on from me doing pro wrestling content. Didn't really care anymore, or anything like that. Now, this year, 2025, a year of interesting ideas and reinvigoration, I decided to bring back this show starting in early January to coincide with the premiere of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. A rebranding. They redid the show. They made it look better and everything. And so I was very excited to try to cover pro wrestling again. But I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I didn't know if having a new co-host was going to work or not. I didn't know if the show was going to garner any kind of audience or attention. And so the entire time that I've been doing Smart Guys since January, this 3.5-month kind of odyssey that I have had, this journey, really was a test. If DSP were to actively watch and cover wrestling again, would anyone care? And, the show has definitely had its highs and lows. I've now had 4 different co-hosts, drama segments focused solely on pro wrestling. I've unboxed WWE Topps trading cards, right? And basically done a whole lot of commentary on Raw, SmackDown, and that one time when I actually watched and talked about AEW. And basically, the attention span has been interesting. Sometimes people show up. Sometimes people don't. It all depends. And I would argue that overall, this has been a success, okay? But when I say that, what I mean is, we get some good attendance, maybe a few hundred people watching between my YouTube and Kick channels, and that's good. And we've got some support, some weeks better than others. I feel like some weeks people were here only watching because of my former co-host PPP, while some weeks people have been here just for me, and then other weeks people are here because they want to watch and see who's the new co-host, who's the co-host Phil has this week, right? So it's been interesting. It really has. And I've been thinking about this for 3.5 months. Is this something that I want to continue to do or not? I've had fun doing it, but at the very same time, to be frank with all of you, it's a lot of time investment. It's a lot of work. And quite frankly, it can prove pretty frustrating when not a lot is going on or I'm not enjoying myself. Okay. Now, to be honest here, this weekend, watching WrestleMania 41, almost 8 hours of pro wrestling that I had to watch this weekend in order to be able to review WrestleMania 41 for you on this super show that I'm about to perform. It was a lot of work and it was a lot of time invested. And I was tired last night after finishing WrestleMania. I was like, good Lord, if I didn't have to cover this on Monday, I probably would have stretched it out and watched it more casually. But, I had to watch each show each night so as not to be spoiled and to be talking about it fresh the day after. Okay. But, dude, it has been a hell of a journey and it has been a hell of a arduous task, to say the least. All right. So here's the deal. Today's show will be the longest pro wrestling commentary show I've ever done. The purpose of this broadcast right now is to cover WrestleMania 41. I'm going to talk about each match, what I think about it, some play-by-play. I'm going to talk about what my favorite match was, what my least favorite match was, overall what I thought about the event. But we're also going to have all three of my special guest co-hosts chiming in. First, Ethan Ralph will be coming on the show live as a guest via Discord, and we're going to see what his opinions are. Then, about halfway into the show, I'm actually going to tell you what Cypress TV thought about WrestleMania. Sadly, he cannot join us live today, but he did give me his opinions, and we're going to review those as well. And then lastly, at the end of the show, to close out, we are going to have Gahul give his opinions on WrestleMania. So we're going to have all three people in some way, shape, or form chiming in and being a part of the fun today, okay? But it's going to be a lot of wrestling talk. There is going to be no drama today. I repeat that. No drama. We've got more than enough things to talk about in regards to WrestleMania that we don't have time for this nonsensical drama. Instead, it's going to be covering the show. All right? Now, I'm excited. I hope you are too. But people have been asking me for weeks, Phil, are you going to continue doing Smark Guys? Is this a show that you think was good? It worked out now that you've done this, 3.5 months. Well, the truth of the matter is the entire plan for Smark Guys was to start it with the relaunch of Raw on Netflix in January and to go through WrestleMania. And basically by the end of WrestleMania to determine, is this something that worked well enough in my schedule that I feel like it's worthwhile and it's something that I want to continue doing. Okay. And I'll be honest with you guys. I think that sometimes it really is fun. If there's a week where there's a lot going on, like, the weeks right after the Royal Rumble or after the Elimination Chamber, right? The week when Cena dropped his big promo and turned heel, right? That's exciting. There's also been weeks when it hasn't been so good. Weeks when it was a really boring Raw or SmackDown, when nothing really progressed, when you have wishy-washy plot lines, bad matches. And I think that's just the nature of the beast of wrestling, is it not? That you're going to have good weeks and bad. And if you're a pro wrestling fan, you kind of have those ups and downs, right? Now, in addition, I do feel that there's other pro wrestling out there that I have neglected. For example, I haven't watched NXT at all. I don't even know what's on NXT. And I keep hearing every week, oh, you missed out. There was a good show. I'm like, well, I don't have time to watch it. I'm watching Raw and SmackDown every week. So because of that, I don't have time to watch another show. There's also AEW. And AEW, the one time that I watched it, all right, was really weird. All right, to be honest. I found the matches were bizarre. The plot lines were odd. But it's kind of fascinating because people still talk about it from time to time. And I wonder, gee, should I give that a shot? Okay? So, to be frank and honest, it's been fun some weeks and boring others. I do feel like some weeks it's worth my time and others it's not. It's a lot of work to do this show. as opposed to another stream where I literally just boot up a stream and I talk with you guys on a podcast or cover some brief news topics, or I play a game, which is just me playing a video game. There's not much with that, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's what I mean. Like, FYI, it's a lot of work to do this because there's all this prep that I have to do to watch the shows. It's a lot different than just turning on a stream and doing other content. So today, this very show is going to help determine the future of Smark Guys. Today, if the show goes well, if viewership, engagement, and support are good, I would consider continuing the show. Now, it may not be to the capacity that I've been doing it. Maybe I'll do every other week. Maybe I'll be sure to cover pay-per-view events / big wrestling events, but not everything, right? Maybe I would alternate my coverage. Maybe it won't be just Raw and SmackDown all the time, but instead I would every once in a while cover AEW, cover NXT. That way there's some variety in there, and I'm not kind of getting bored with doing the same thing every week, right? But honestly, I'd love to hear your opinions as well. Opinions have been all over the place. You know, when the show started, people really liked it, but a lot of the attention on it was because of my former co-host PPP, right? A lot of people complained, too much drama, too much nonsense, too much e-begging. Why aren't you talking about wrestling more? That's supposed to be the point of the show. Then I did the show solo for a couple of weeks, and people liked the new focus on wrestling, but then I noticed distinct drops in attention and support. Then I started getting co-hosts on, and the attention seemed to have spiked again, but I really don't know how to proceed moving forward, okay? There's been some interest in possibly having a rotating cast of hosts, that maybe one week I have one host, and then the next show we have a different host, and we try to spin it around so that way it's not always the same person, okay? Let's see what happens today and go from there, all right? So thanks for being here for episode 14 of Smart Guys, the WrestleMania 41 Super Show. FYI, the way it works is if you contribute, I'm going to give you a live shout out. You'll get on the leaderboard if you're the top contributor of one type, you know, memberships, subs, super chats, or tips. We're going to, you know, have a running goal of $150 for the stream. If we hit that, great. If we exceed that, even better. Okay. For every $100 raised on the show today, I'm going to open a pack of the Topps Chrome 2025 cards, just like I've been doing in previous shows. We have 5 different packs of cards to open. So we can basically get up to $500 of support, up to 5 packs opened on this very show. And in one of those packs is the rare numbered card. Don't know if it'll be good. Like, for example, the Nakamura card that I got that's numbered is great. The other card is some wrestler, I don't even know who she is, Alba Fire, and the card looks awful. So it could be great. It could end up being a actual autograph card, which is one of the rarest cards that they have. Those are randomly inserted into the packs. We don't know. I don't know what I'm going to get. All right. So let's get some support rolling for Smart Guys. This will be one of the determining factors of if I decide to continue the show or not, if the show gets support today for the amount of effort that I'm putting into it. Okay. All right. And so before we start talking about guests and the like, allow me to give you my overall thoughts on WrestleMania. Okay. WrestleMania 41 took place this past weekend on April 19th and 20th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay. 2-night event each night, roughly running around 3.5 to 4 hours, depending. Each night was a little different. Interestingly enough, attendance on night 1 was lower than attendance on night 2. I know that sounds a little weird, but yeah, it is true. On night 1, the overall attendance was 61,000. Where is it? Hold on. 61,467. On night 2, the attendance was 63,228. So a 2,000 person difference, but they announced that WrestleMania had been sold out. So does that mean that just 2,000 people didn't show up night 1 or were delayed in travel or something? I don't know. Pretty weird. Okay. But overall, WrestleMania is the biggest spectacle that WWE puts on every single year. All right. The biggest sets, the biggest stakes, the biggest matches, titles all on the line, etc. Okay. Now, first off, the set of WrestleMania 41. All right. They're in Las Vegas. And you think they're in Vegas, right? That means that it's going to be some kind of crazy set where it's probably going to have to do with gambling, maybe cards or something. No, not at all. The set that they chose for WrestleMania 41, in my opinion, was incredibly bland and boring. Like, I was watching, the first thing I noticed, was that the set felt very underwhelming and not really appropriate in my opinion, to the location and the event. It just looked like a bunch of doors opening on the front of a big major glass building. Like, think New York City and like a big towering skyscraper. And it has like that front, has like a sign or a fancy front, like awning. And then the big doors, double doors at the front of the building. Like, that's what the set looked like. And I was like, what is that? Like, I was staring at it like, what is it even supposed to be? What does this have to do with Las Vegas? I was incredibly confused. I don't know if they were trying to say it was supposed to be a casino. It didn't look like one. And there were a couple times where I do feel like the set was utilized nicely. Notably, there were 2 different matches on night 2 where there was a mystery person. First, there was a mystery opponent for Randy Orton, and then there was a mystery tag team partner for Lyra Valkyria for the women's tag titles. Each time, they kind of focused in on the doors, which were very generic LED doors, and then they would open, and then there would be like, ooh, like light would shine through, and then boom, the big presentation for whoever the mystery person was would play, and it was kind of cool in that regard. But outside of that, it just wasn't that good. Like, I thought that the set was very underwhelming. A lot of the times the WrestleMania sets are actually utilized for special spots and special parts of matches. No, it was not at all. So it was quite disappointing, in my opinion, that that happened. And that it was just kind of a very generic setup. I think back to WrestleMania, the WrestleMania that I went to in person, where it was supposed to be New York, New Jersey, and it had all different things from New York and New Jersey on the set. Or the year that it was like pirate themed, there's a ship and everything, and they kind of had things themed to that, right? So, just in general, I felt that the presentation of the pay-per-view was underwhelming, and just it kind of immediately, when you look at that set, you're kind of like, it doesn't look that good. You know what I mean? I don't know what they were going for. And even the way that it opened, opened with Triple H on night 1 coming out and basically saying, so you think you know the whole story, but this is just the beginning, right? Oh, okay. Then it says, okay, here's the opening of WrestleMania 41. And it starts playing this fucking awful, awful Travis Scott song. What the fuck is this? How could you make that music the anthem of pro wrestling? To me, it just shows that WWE is trying to be in touch with the youth, but they don't understand that what the youth culture likes is not in line with pro wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like, pro wrestling has a legacy. Pro wrestling has popularity worldwide. But pro wrestling is not like modern mumble rap in any way, shape, or form. It's nothing like that. When you hear that music, that's the last thing you think of as pro wrestling. 2 guys or women beating the shit out of each other in a ring, doing big athleticism, big adult soap opera drama and stuff like that. Do you think Travis Scott mumbling into a mic and someone going, "Fing, fing, fing, fing," it's nothing to do with it. Now, I get it that they want to, again, have that kind of connection. But if the connection disconnects you from the product, okay, then it fails. And I feel like that's a running theme that you saw throughout all of WrestleMania 41, that they were attempting to connect modern pop culture with modern pro wrestling. And every time they attempted to do this, it failed miserably. I mean, right in the middle of the center of the ring for the entire weekend was Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. The first thing they did at the beginning of the show was that the doors opened on the set and the DJ Salvatore Gagnacchi was playing music. The entire crowd was like, what the fuck is this? Who is this asshole? We've never heard of this guy before. What the fuck is he doing here? Because they don't know that that guy is a guest character in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, a fighting game that comes out today. They don't know what, like, they're like, what is this? They're all completely confused. The crowd is dead silent, not excited at all for it. Like, what is this shit? And the truth is, almost no one knows who this fucking guy is. In the fighting game community, it was the same. When they announced he was going to be a guest character in Fatal Fury, no one knew who the fuck this guy was, and they all criticized the game. What are they, stupid? Did they take a giant paycheck? Are they selling out to have this jackass in the game? Because we don't know who he is. Now, the thing is, I'm not saying that the guy's actually a jackass. Maybe he's a great DJ, but what the fuck does he have to do with Fatal Fury, and what the fuck does he have to do with pro wrestling? Salvatore's Gnocchi. That's what his name should be. He went to an Italian restaurant. And it was the special of the night. So, yeah, I mean, that's how they start the show. Terrible Travis Scott music, an underwhelming set. Triple H saying this is just the beginning of the story. Well, if it is, maybe I don't want to hear the rest of the story. And then a DJ no one's ever heard of coming out and playing, and no one knows what's going on. And then they cut to the ring, and it's Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Like, what is this? Why is this the beginning of a fucking WrestleMania? It's the most bizarre, disconnected, just disjarred shit. It really is. Like, it's just odd. Like, why is this part of it? And again, I get it. They want a payout, right? They want to make money. They want to have a fucking sponsored thing going on. But if it disconnects your audience from everything that's about to happen, is it worth it? So WWE took the payday, but immediately deflated everything that should have been hype about the beginning of the show. Okay? Really, honestly, I feel that. You could disagree, but I just don't feel like this makes any sense at all, that this is part of the show. And I think that they need to reassess, because what's happening is you are going to get attention. Like, for example, I feel like they will sell maybe a couple thousand extra copies of Fatal Fury. Seriously, like, that game will actually sell. But does this help WWE at all besides a cheap payday? I don't think so. And I feel like it deflates the beginning of the show. It really did. Like, the whole first 5 minutes, I was like, what am I watching? This is WrestleMania? Like, what the fuck? Anyway. So then, over the course of the 2 nights, preceded a series of highs and lows. And I'm going to be honest, in summary, I feel like there were many more lows than highs. Okay? I feel like there was a lot more disappointing moments, a lot more annoying moments, a lot more things that fell flat than things that were good. Surprisingly enough, I actually thought a lot of the stuff that I thought was going to be the worst ended up being some of the best, but that's not a good thing, because the things that should have been the best ended up being the worst, or just not as interesting as you would have hoped. Okay, notably, if you've watched Smark Guys over the last month, every single co-host that I had on here, whether it was Ethan Ralph, Cypress TV, or Gahul, kind of predicted some of the outcomes of these matches way ahead of time. And that's not good. The idea is, when you're going to have a big event like this, we all know that pro wrestling is scripted. We're not stupid, right? But you want to at least have an air of mystery of, I wonder what will happen in this match. That happened a few times, but almost all the matches were completely predictable outcomes, and that's not good. In addition, one thing that you're going to see as we start going through the match-by-match results is that this year, predominantly heels won everything. Seriously. Like, there was very few matches where the face went over. And Compare that to, say, last year, where you had the biggest WrestleMania main event in ages, you know, finishing the story. Cody Rhodes' culmination of his journey in WWE for many years, trying to chase Roman Reigns and finally defeat him and become the new undisputed champion, unseating this guy who has the longest streak ever. Compare that with most of the match outcomes this year, and every match was like, oh, 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 oh. And in fact, I'll even say this. I felt that the scripting of the matches and the outcomes was actually so cliche with this theme that the heel is going to win 90% of the time this WrestleMania. By the end of WrestleMania's second night, the crowd actually flipped and started cheering all the heels instead. Because I think the crowd finally kind of wisened up to it, what was going on. And they were like, well, screw it then. We're actually going to cheer for the people who normally we would boo because we want to get into this. And right now, cheering for the faces just seems like a complete waste of everyone's time. That's incredibly annoying and disappointing. Seriously. So, yeah, I'll be honest. I think it was a really odd booking decision. I think it was a deflating weekend overall. You know, you go into WrestleMania, you want to feel like there's going to be major progress and good positive outcomes. By the end of WrestleMania, I think a lot of people were just shrugging. What just happened? Why did we just watch that for 2 nights? You know, overall, predominantly negative. There were some good moments. And actually, like I told you, you're going to be shocked at some of the things that I liked because I was shocked at some of the things that I liked. But at the same time, predominantly negative. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So FYI, I'm going to reach out to Ethan Ralph and see when he wants to come on. Basically, if he wants to come on like right now, we can get him on the show. I think he said he was going to be broadcasting. I think he might be broadcasting his own show right now. And he said that he wanted to co-stream, which I told him that's perfectly fine. That if he's on now that, you know, he could co-stream, he could stream his perspective on his stream and mine for mine and go from there. So let me first of all see. If he doesn't respond on Discord, I've been talking with him on X a lot. So let's see what he has to say. But he'll be my first guest. And what I like to do is see what he thought about WrestleMania overall. You know, what were his favorite matches and the like, and what he hated and stuff like that. All right, he says he's actually ready. Cool. So let me get my headphones on, which I haven't had on yet. So this is the first time ever on the fly that I'm attempting to get a guest on live, and I didn't set it up ahead of time. All right, so just to forewarn everyone, if we have tech issues right now, I hope that you guys will forgive me. You know, doing this on the fly is a lot different than trying to do it with predetermined setup. All right, so we may have some technical issues here. But let's see if we can get Ethan Ralph on the show. I'm very curious what he thought about WrestleMania. All right, guys. Well, Ethan's on the show. Everyone say hello to Ethan Ralph. Wave. What's going on,
Hello.
sir? How are you doing?
Nothing much, man. Doing well. Like I said, covering a lot of different stuff today. Big news that, you know, my show, we cover a lot of different news topics. Pope, yay, said some things that were pretty controversial. And another guy, you saw it, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I've been running around getting this show ready and doing the wrestling stuff this morning. So I've actually didn't. I heard about the Pope, but I didn't hear about anything there with Ye. So
I don't know if you want to hear it. I'll just maybe let you discover that on your own. It's disturbing to say the least. But yeah, what did you think about WrestleMania?
All right, so I was just telling my audience. All right, I feel like this year they went for a different vibe entirely. Like if you actually follow the entire show from start to finish and you look at the match outcomes, in general, most matches went to the heels. Like a lot of them went to the heels, and it was a lot of like title changes to a heel, or heel is now leading this plot line moving forward. And I think that's kind of jarring for the audience because last year you had this culmination of the giant Cody Rhodes plot line, you know, years in the making, defeating the undefeated streak of Roman Reigns. And now you've got the opposite this year, where it's like everyone's deflated. Cena now has everyone hostage. Seth has become the big villain on the other side. And every show kind of ended on like a bad note. So I think overall, it kind of gets people guessing like what's going to happen next, but it kind of makes it feel like a negative thing. And I also feel like this show was so commercialized with Travis Scott music playing constantly, stupid Fatal Fury ad in the middle of the ring, freaking DJ at the beginning of the show coming out. No one knows who the fuck that guy is. It was just such a overly produced, commercialized show to try to make money that in a lot of cases it felt like the wrestling kind of took a back seat, and that's not a good thing, especially when I don't feel like the stuff that they took paychecks for was in line with pro wrestling. Like, I'm sorry, I just don't think Travis Scott's mumble rap music is pro wrestling music. I don't find that it makes sense as part of that product. Um, but overall, I just was not really enjoying it. There were a few things that I liked that were shocking. Like, there's a couple matches there I thought I was gonna hate, and I actually really liked. But most matches were kind of boring. A lot of them were rushed. Very predictable outcomes. Like, very, very predictable. You kind of could know what was going to happen 90% of the time in these matches. And when there's no real shocks, then it's kind of like, why did I sit around watching 8 hours of wrestling this weekend when I kind of already knew it was going to happen? So overall, it wasn't awful, but it was nowhere near as good as, say, last year's. And I was kind of disappointed and bored with a lot of it and didn't really like it overall.
Well, I'd have to. I guess I'd give it. I hate to give it a thumbs down, but like it's very close to full thumbs down territory, really. There were some great matches. The triple threat on night one, that's contender match of the year, probably. With CM Punk and Rollins and Reigns. That was a great match. That honestly, blows the the Cena Rhodes match just completely out of the water. That was
Yeah.
that was a total disappointment. I didn't even see that live. Like, I stopped watching and then went back and rewatched it later on because I was just like, okay. And it was worse than I thought it was going to be, actually. Where's The Rock also? Like, I have no idea why he was even involved with this. If he wasn't going to show up at Mania, Travis Scott's there, but The Rock's not there.
Right.
It
Right.
makes no sense to me. The finish itself was kind of weak with Rhodes. I mean, I get it. He wasn't willing to do the heelish thing to keep the title. And then, Cena kicks him in the nuts again, which he should have seen coming since that just happened, a couple months ago, right? So he kicks him in the balls again, hits him with the belt, 1, 2, 3. He did have the clean visual pin on Cena with the crossroads, but there was no ref there to count it. So, like, that's a thing in wrestling where, okay, really, he won the match, that in that way. But as soon as I saw that Orton's face was on the poster for Backlash, which is their next pay-per-view, I knew for a fact Cena was going to win because Orton, Cena, they have a long legacy of feuding and, one of the classic feuds, actually, the last 20 years. So,
Right.
there's really no
my major problem, like you just said, is that it was Travis Scott getting involved instead of The Rock. What in the holy hell were they thinking there? Like, that was such a huge disappointment. That crowd 100% was waiting for The Rock to come out and get involved in this match. I mean, he's the one that got the whole plot line started with Cody saying that I want to own your soul and all of that. And it's like they forgot all about that fucking plot line. Like, where is it? It doesn't even exist anymore. And to have Travis Scott be the one that causes all the commotion and the cheating is so lame. Again, Travis Scott is a mumble rapper, and I get it. All the kids like him, right? But he's not wrestling. They want him to be wrestling, but he has nothing to do with this. He just comes out. It's intrusive. If The Rock came out, no one would have cared. They would have loved it. But they went the payday route, and it kind of spoiled the whole end of WrestleMania night too, but for me at least, because of that.
Agree 100%. And even if you bring Travis Scott out, The Rock needs to be there with him, right? Like, I'm fine if you have The Rock there as well, but just Travis Scott. They did have the Stone Cold. Thought there was a possibility that if Rhodes did retain, which very small chance of that happening, that Stone Cold was going to save him somehow.
Gribble 69 on Rumble.
I'll let that go through. I don't
what are
think
your thoughts on
I don't think he has any thoughts on that. Yeah, I don't think he has any thoughts on that. I don't either. But they had Stone Cold come out and he ran over somebody with his ATV.
That was funny. He hit the wall and the guy's like, oh shit.
Yeah, suddenly they're gonna get a big fat check, I would imagine, from that. But I think it was a woman, actually, and then all of a sudden she had to leave the arena. My neck, my back, I'm sure that's what I would be saying, at least. But Yeah, I thought it was lackluster. I did like the opening match was the best match of the night. Uh, let me go back. Io Sky
Mhm.
and Ripley and Bianca Belair. They made the right call. Io Sky, the face, went
Yes.
over.
I was
And like you,
shocked. I was shocked they went that way,
I
but
was
that's what I
too.
wanted to happen, but I was like, "Holy shit, they actually let her keep the belt." Now maybe she'll get a real title reign because let's be honest,
Yeah.
this has not been a real title reign. It's just been her wedged into this triple threat plot line to get Rhea and Bianca to go at it, but now maybe she'll finally get some recognition.
Agree 100%, and she deserves it too. And so I popped for that one live because I was like, yes, because I was almost certain they were going to give it to one of the other two, and they didn't, and it was a great match. I liked the Intercontinental Championship match as
Mhm,
well. They made the
mhm.
right call there too with Mysterio going over, even though he's a heel. Although I think I don't know if they're gonna turn him face or turn Balor face. Like I'm not really certain.
Well, the weirdest
One,
part about that was the crowd reaction because as we
yeah,
know, the crowd has really gone nuclear for Dom every time he comes out. He can't even talk. The boos are so overwhelming. And now they turned on him in a good way. They were cheering for him. They wanted Dom to win this match. He became like the underdog hero, and they went crazy when he won. So now you're right. Could this be like now Dom will flip and he'll be a face, and people will want him to lead Judgment Day over Finn, and maybe that'll be the plot line moving forward, and Finn will be the heel moving forward? That'd be kind of interesting.
yeah, and originally I thought it was going to be Balor was going to be the face going forward, but now after that, I don't know. They could go either way with it, and it would be good. I think they made the right call on putting the belt on Mysterio. It's time for that. He's been one of the hottest acts over the last year and a half, and he deserved it. And Braun Breaker still came out looking like a beast. So
Yes,
it's not
he
like he
did.
was bad, and it was a fatal 4-way anyway. So it worked out. He didn't take the pin either. I will say you mentioned something earlier. Usually the faces go over at WrestleMania. Well, that's the whole point of WrestleMania, really. With rare exceptions, the faces are almost always. That's been Vince's theory.
Right.
Now Vince is not there now, but like that's the blow off, right? WrestleMania, the faces finally go over with some exceptions here and there. But that's kind of the point of WrestleMania. Faces go over. And this year there wasn't a lot of that. Matter of fact, both main events heelish finishes. I don't know that would have happened on Vince's watch. And some people brought up some criticism of Triple H that I think was fair. And for the most part, I've loved what he's done. He bought AAA, which is a wrestling company here in Mexico.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
that could be a big collab. They're the number 2 wrestling company, but they've been in financial trouble, so he bought them. I'm hearing some things about New Japan as well, perhaps. That would be even bigger. But I've liked what he's done for the most part, but this build for WrestleMania was not that good, really. And I think the
Yeah.
European tour, even though the crowds were hot, I think the European tour didn't help. I know they made a ton of money off of it, and the crowds were super hot. But it kind of the Raws are starting at like 3 in the afternoon, SmackDown starting at 3 in the afternoon. I think that killed some of the buzz. Cena wasn't on enough shows. The Rock completely disappeared, so that made no sense. Like what the Rock should have came out and explained how he talked Cena into it or something. Like I don't know anything.
Right.
And then for him not to be there at Mania at all, it just didn't feel special. And here goes.
Sage Retard spent $5 on
And this is
Rumble.
a point I have too.
DSP, that Joe Hendry moment of him spinning and smiling then getting KTFO, thoughts? Lol, also a non-wrestling fan, I'm enjoying the crossover. P.S. You have the goofiest haters, keep on keeping on.
Thank you for that. And I agree on all those points. I was going to make the point about Joe Henry. So he's the TNA world champion, right?
Right.
And they have a working relationship with TNA. And it's cool. And I have another viewer here, Ada Wolf, and he's like, oh, it didn't hurt him, right? He got his WrestleMania moment. To me, it made him look like a jobber, honestly. And he's TNA's top guy.
Yeah.
Now, it's cool that he got put on WrestleMania. I agree with that. But I don't think that was really smart of TNA to have their world champion job out to Orton in like 5 minutes or whatever
Yeah.
it was.
And this is not just once, this is twice. He was in the Rumble, and in the Rumble, he didn't really do much either. He looked crappy. I like his
Yeah.
theme. Like, I've never seen him in TNA because I don't watch TNA. And the theme song is like inspirational, right? So you think this guy's going to do something good. And then he just stands around in the Rumble, gets tossed right out. Here in this match with Orton, he barely does anything. I'm like, man, I think that makes TNA look really weak. I really do.
I do too. And, it's cool of him. Every wrestler wants to go to WrestleMania. Every wrestling fan wants to go to WrestleMania. I went one year, WrestleMania 35. So like I get it, but it should have been at least a 10-minute match, and a little bit more given his way.
Wow, it was 3 minutes, 10 seconds. That's what someone in my
It wasn't
chat
even
just said.
5 minutes. That's
Oh.
jobber level, time. So, and that's the world champion at TNA.
Yikes.
So, and Adel said didn't matter. He's gonna get his moment. He's gonna down the line, and that might be true, but it makes TNA look like a complete joke that they're world champion. Now it is Randy Orton. He's like a 14-time champion or something himself, WWE champion. So, it's not like he lost to some, scrub or whatever, but 3 minutes for the TNA world champion to just get smoked like that. And then Randy Orton RKO'd him twice. He gave him an extra one, just rubbed
Right.
it in, basically treated him like a doctor. It's just like, damn, okay, TNA. I don't think that was worth it for TNA, honestly. I wouldn't have done that if I was them, but maybe WWE slipped him a little extra cash, who knows? But that didn't really that didn't
North
make any
Scout sent
sense.
$3 this year. It's North Scout. Even Ralph, let me tell you. I'm glad to have come to my stream. I'm glad to have found you guys one Twitter tells to. Down in my accounts because you've been a can of whoopers on him, maybe. Give me that.
That's supposed to be Stone Cold. North Scout said, tell DSP to unban me. I don't know your relationship with North Scout, but
Don't know who
but
that
yeah,
is, so yeah, I don't know.
But overall, I just it just didn't feel like Mania. One thing Vince knew how to do, and of course Vince ain't coming back, but was Mania almost every year felt special. This year with the Cena heel turn, they were headed in the right way. It was feeling special. And I know there were some injuries. Owens got hurt. Rey Mysterio got hurt.
Right.
Norse spent $5 on Rumble.
Yeah, that did sound like
That sounded like shit, lol.
Yeah, it did. It wasn't a very good Stone Cold. But they had to deal with some things. The Owens injury, Mysterio got hurt. There were some outside factors, but
I think that one of the major factors is that 40 last year was so good. Everyone kind of agrees 40 was like the culmination of what they could do with modern wrestling. How do you top that? And the answer is they didn't even try. Like they really weren't trying to top that giant plot line. So
yeah, they didn't. And I also they kind of, when I went to WrestleMania, the tickets, I think where I sat, and I was in a pretty good section. They were like $500 a piece, I think, or maybe it was like $400 a piece for me and my ex-wife. We went to WrestleMania, but this year the prices were insane.
yeah, I heard that. Yep.
Complaining about that, and if it's WrestleMania, it better be worth it, right?
Right.
And you had people paying, having to sell a kidney to go to the show, and it with a few exceptions, it really just didn't have the Mania feel. They had the big stage, they had everybody there. The crowd night one was kind of dead. I would say they were a little bit more lively night two, but also
attendance was much higher night two. It was like 2,000 or 3,000 more people. I guess they just didn't even show up for the first night.
Yeah. I don't know, but the first night's crowd, yeah, they were kind of lost. I'll say my favorite match, obviously the triple threat, Punk, Rollins, and Reigns.
Okay.
Interested to see where that goes. Uso Gunther, I don't understand. I mean, I do understand having Gunther tap out, but to me that makes him look weak. He didn't need to lose like that.
Yeah.
Now I get it that Uso basically stole all Gunther's moves, right, to defeat him. So I get the psychology behind it, but for him to tap out to a sleeper in 5 seconds, it's like, okay, did that really need to happen? I feel like they did that to legitimize Uso's reign. Maybe they're going to keep the belt on him for a little while.
My take on that match is they absolutely needed to do something to legitimize Jay because Jay has not been legitimate up to now. The way they did the match, because it was a lengthy match, because Jay withstood everything that Gunther had and threw at him, made him look good, probably arguably for the first time since he won the Royal Rumble. So finally, you're like, I kind of believe it now. But the problem is it was done at the expense of basically destroying Gunther. Now Gunther looks like a jobber. He looks like an asshole. You basically lost to your own moves. He beat your ass, and he was supposed to be the unstoppable world heavyweight champion. And now where does Gunther even go? Like, I don't see him being successful rematching Jay. So what are they going to do with this guy now? I don't know. He went from being this insanely long reigning IC champ to being a long reigning world heavyweight champ to basically losing to his own moves at WrestleMania at a curtain jerking match. Now, what do you do with the guy? I feel like they kind of ruined it.
And tapped out in 5 seconds. It's like, okay, at least, hold on for 30 seconds or whatever. Like, I don't know. That was baffling to me. I understand why they did it to build up Jay, but let's
Sage
see.
Retard spent $1 on Rumble.
Show name.
Show name recommendation if y'all do more of these heel versus heel.
Heel versus heel. LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu was pretty good. I think they made the right call there. I don't really think LA Knight needs a belt to be over.
No, this was definitely the time to put the belt on Fatu and to have him have a plot line to his own rather than just kind of being the beast interjected into other plot lines. Now he'll have a major plot line that'll probably boost him, and I think he needed it. So it was a good choice, I feel. Yes.
Yeah, and I liked, and this is controversial, it's like 50-50 on the internet. Here's
That spent
they're
$1
sending in
on
points too. Sorry about
It
that.
was
But
BS that Lex Luger wasn't even mentioned with the Hope inductees on night 1.
yeah, I noticed that Luger wasn't mentioned, but they did show a video package, I think, with him in it. I don't know if that was just a mistake or what, but yeah, that was kind of weird. But yeah, it was the right call to put it on Fatu. The tag titles on New Day, I agree with that too, even though those were both heels winning, but I agree with that call, although the crowd was totally dead. What I was going to say, that I liked the Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair match. Now, some people either loved it or hated it, but it was really stiff. She had a busted lip. It looked like she broken her tooth off, but it was actually blood, I think, on her tooth, not that her tooth was broken. But I think they worked that stiff on purpose because of the off-script comments about the divorce and stuff like that. And so they wanted that match to look more like, I mean, it wasn't a shoot, but to look, have more of that strong style.
I was torn on that match because there were moments that I thought the match was really well produced. Like whoever scripted that match, I don't know to what extent the wrestlers today are scripting their own matches or if they're, they have producers who actually like do all that too. Some of the spots were really good, but the spots were done poorly. There's a lot of botches in that match too. They're trying to do stuff on the top rope and they're flipping and slipping and, oh, this looks horrible. At the same time, the match went really long. It was a long, drawn-out match. It showed the stamina of both women. I'm torn. Like, I liked parts and I hated parts. I don't really care about who won, though. Like, to me, like, I don't like Tiffy. Didn't want Charlotte to win. So I was like a passable match for me. I didn't really love it.
Yeah, and well, there's some points where people were pointing out that Charlotte Flair was actually reminding Tiffy of some of her spots that she was forgetting. And Charlotte Flair, the super veteran, right? I don't know. I give her points for doing the job, and I don't even know if Charlotte's going to be around that much longer anyway. So I think she did the right thing. It was a stiff match, but I don't know. It's very controversial, like you said. Yeah, people pointed out a lot of the botches too. There were definitely some there. I'm looking at the rest of night 1. Nothing else really stands out, honestly.
Adal Wolf spent $2. Cornette said he'd come out of retirement only, and if only Jacob Fatu wanted a manager. We need to meme this into existence.
Well, Cornette needs to be in the Hall of Fame. That's a totally separate story. But and then honestly, I enjoyed night 1 more than night 2. Really.
Yeah, I think so. I think I agree with you there too. I think that overall, some of the plot lines coming to culmination, seeing some of the titles change, going the right way. And the main event of night 1 was much better than the main event of night 2.
Oh, yeah.
So overall, it felt like a better night. And then you start watching night 2 and it's kind of like, oh, I started to feel tired. Like I'm getting fatigued watching the second night of this because there's not a lot to get excited for here.
I literally fell asleep and then went back and watched the main event. So that's not a good sign. And then I went back and watched it and I was like, I could have just skipped this. Huh? It wasn't like the worst match I've ever seen, but it's not WrestleMania main event level caliber, right?
Right.
And we already discussed all the reasons it didn't make any sense. I do think Cody will probably get the belt back by the end of the year. And Cena, as the year goes along, I think he's going to turn back into a face probably before he officially retires. But we'll see. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, from night 2, I'll say the opener was amazing. I love the triple threat for the women's world
Yes.
championship.
That was my favorite
Um,
match of night 2 by far, was the
yeah,
opener.
yeah, same here. The fatal 4-way was really good too. The women's tag team championship. The only thing cool about that was Becky Lynch coming back. The match itself, you know, I didn't really think too much of it. But
What
Becky
about
Lynch got it.
I wanna ask you this. The outfits that the War Raiders and Drew McIntyre were wearing, what did you think of these outfits that these guys were coming out in? I'm just curious because I have a very interesting thought process, but what did you think with what these,
I
like,
don't
armor
know.
they were coming out in?
It looked strange to me. Yeah. What is your theory on it? I really didn't give it much thought, but
Dude, it
I
looks
did
to me, it looks straight up like He-Man Masters of the Universe shit. Like, it looked like toy accessories, and I'm like, the thing is, they probably paid top dollar for that shit, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's not even good enough to be in, like, a B movie, and this is what they're wearing at WrestleMania. Why? Just wear your normal shit, seriously. Like, why spend all that money and stuff to come out and look like stupid? It looks like it's cheap plastic.
Yeah, and if people don't know, the wrestlers pay for their own costumes. Like that's not provided by WWE because they're
Right.
independent contractors, and so and there's a few people who basically make almost all the costumes, right? And so yeah, they pay for that out of pocket. But the rest of the night, I mean, Priest versus McIntyre was pretty good, but it didn't blow me away or anything. But I'm looking at the rest of the card, and I'm just not seeing it.
What about
North
AJ versus Logan Paul? What did you think about that
Well,
match?
hold on. I'll read this. I'll read this out in a second, North Scout. Just give me 1 second. AJ Logan Paul, I hated it. And nothing. I loved Karrion Cross's promo after the show. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't see that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he cut a hell of a promo after the show, and basically pipe bomb style, CM Punk pipe bomb style after the show. About how he called him Allen because that's what the A and AJ stands for.
Ah.
And then started shooting on the creative team. He shot on Triple H. He told the guy in the production truck with the suit on to go F himself. And I'll say that since we're on YouTube, I'll try to another take.
It's all
A
good.
little sometimes. But yeah, so that I would suggest watching that. But of course, that was after the show.
Okay.
I
Dale Gribble 69
I'm
cents.
gonna
Dollar.
skip that, but thank you. Now I don't know. It just didn't feel like a great WrestleMania, and they had a hard time following up on last year's. So there's a lot of ways they can go from here, but with a couple exceptions, the triple threat the night 1 and the triple threat the night 2, those are 2 ace matches. Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. I hated it. I thought AJ should have went over there, honestly, but I knew he wouldn't. And that was Karrion Cross's point, was he wasn't willing to do what it took because he tried to help him win or whatever, and he wasn't willing to cheat. And they'll probably have a feud now if I had to guess. But yeah, I don't know. Logan Paul, I'm not as down on him as some people. Like he can wrestle, but Karrion Cross in that promo, he's like, maybe I should have just started a YouTube channel and taken a shortcut. And I think all the weddings and all the funerals and everything else I miss being on the road, 300 days a year and this and that. And so he could go in a feud with him too. Either way, they need to do something with Karrion Cross because this guy is just a promo machine and puts a lot of thought into what he's doing on the screen. So that's one thing I could see coming out of this. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to see Logan Paul go over, even though I knew he would. So
Yeah, for me, like, I thought the technical aspects of the match were good, but I don't know. It's just sad because we all know AJ. We know his history. We know he's one of the best to ever do it. And to see him in there with Logan Paul, and he basically has to get Paul over, you know what I mean? And not that Paul's bad. He's good. He was good in this match for sure. Lots of good spots, lots of great execution. But it's kind of like, in reality, do you really want to see AJ Styles lose to Logan Paul? And now, Logan Paul disappears. He's not going to be around for a while. He'll come back at like SummerSlam or something. And we'll have the AJ and Karrion Cross, feud, which I enjoy. But the whole match just kind of feels like it was a way to segue into the Karrion Cross feud rather than it being an actual interesting match. And I don't know. I thought it was just okay. I didn't hate it, but I thought it could have been better if it had a better story. The story was so rushed, so shitty the way that they put it together. And then they didn't really care about the outcome because you knew it wasn't going to last anyway.
Yeah, and that's the problem. The build to Mania, I'm not the only. It's not an original thought. Pretty much everybody's saying this. Just didn't feel right this year. And say what you want about Vince, he really knew how to build anticipation to the Mania event. Now Triple H has had a couple great Manias under his belt, although Vince was still involved in a lot of that those
Right.
last two Manias too. So he wasn't totally out of the picture until what, January 24. So he had a big hand in that already. Still he's still the biggest individual stockholder of TKO. I'm not sure if people understand that or not.
Huh.
Even after he sold a large portion of his stock, he owns like 9-10%. So he's still the biggest individual stockholder in the company. So, but he's not making creative decisions. I've seen a lot of people be like, Vince, this wouldn't have happened on Vince's watch this week of a build for WrestleMania, where we're like, I don't know. Bring Goldberg out, do something. Like there were no spectacle, not too many at least, spectacle moments. This
Right.
is what WrestleMania is all about. And I don't even like Goldberg, but I'm just saying,
You know what it may be, and this is a theory I've heard thrown around recently, is that previously WrestleMania was the big thing for WWE, their giant moneymaker. This is where everyone paid top dollar to attend and all the events around it and everything. But now the theory being thrown around is that WrestleMania does make them a lot of money, but it's really things like we just talked about, their European tour, their Saudi Arabian events. That's bringing in so much money for them now that they don't actually need to put all their eggs in one basket, so to speak, for WrestleMania. So this year, they didn't really have anything great. They don't really care. They're going to roll with the Cena plot line. They're going to roll with the Rollins plot line. Those will be their two major ones, and everything else they'll figure out. Who cares? Just do another Saudi Arabia event and make lots more money, and doesn't really matter that WrestleMania didn't really crowd please this year. So maybe that's what it is. They're just not very worried anymore.
Again, because it's WrestleMania, and Vince said WrestleMania sells itself, which is true, but you have a couple, 2 or 3 lackluster ones in a row. They can't let this happen again next year, because especially with the ticket prices they're charging. I know they get what, 20 million per event, I think, just flat out for the Saudi events. So I understand that they're moving into Mexico now with AAA. I think they might make that like their NXT Mexico probably. So I actually like that move, and they'll probably bring some of their superstars like Vikingo over there to WWE as well. So I think they're making moves. And if they actually buy New Japan, which is like a hot rumor, that would be crazy. That would be like all-time level nuts. But I think you're right. It's more about, that's not what you want the fans to feel like, though, that they're just there to have their money extracted from them, and they're not. It's not Mania, right? Like it's not the granddaddy of them all, as they used to call it back in the day. So I don't know. I won't give it a full thumbs down, but partial thumbs down. It's leaning downwards because there were a couple classic matches, but that's not enough, honestly, for Mania. There needs to be a couple more great matches, and there needs to be some like shockers. There were no real shockers besides Becky Lynch coming back, and it was cool to see. But I honestly, I was so pissed on night one. First off, I wanted Punk to win. The match was awesome. And I could kind of tell what was going to happen, that Rollins was going to, Heyman was going to side with Rollins because that's just the swerve thing to do, right? But I wanted Punk to win. I wanted to see AJ Lee back is what I wanted to see, and her to come out and celebrate. So I'm looking for any way to get AJ Lee back in there, and I don't know if we're going to get it or not. Although Becky Lynch is back now, and she's made some comments about AJ Lee. And so I could see perhaps a mixed tag match at some point, maybe SummerSlam, somewhere down the road with Punk. He's real life married to AJ Lee, and Becky Lynch, of course, real life married to Seth Rollins. So I think that could be a good spectacle if AJ will ever come back. So it's up to her, but that's something that I'm rooting for too. But
let me ask you this, because what I'd like to get is your take. What did you think overall was the best and the worst match of WrestleMania 41? I think it sounds to me like you think that the triple threat main event of night one was your favorite match of the entire event. Was that safe to say?
Yes, the triple threat night one was the best match. Very slightly behind that is the women's triple threat from the night 2 that started off the show.
Okay.
But yeah, night 1 triple threat main event was the best match. Yeah.
Now, do you
for
think
sure.
it was the wrestling in that match or was it the story? Because here's the thing for me. Like, I really liked the match, but I was disappointed because almost the entire internet predicted that Heyman was
Yeah.
going to turn on them and go with Seth. So I'm like, I'm so excited for the match. And then when it happened, I was like, oh, if only I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Like, if everyone didn't guess, I feel like it would have been better. But knowing that that was kind of going to happen was kind of deflating. So I still really like that match. But for me, it's kind of like I would rather be surprised. So because of that, it wasn't as good for me. At least that's my take.
I agree. Well, that's another reason why I wanted Punk to win, because that would have been the real shocker if he would have somehow pulled it out. But it didn't really make sense, I guess, from a booking perspective, and everybody figured out what was going to happen. So yeah, that does detract from it. But the match itself was great, and I really enjoyed it. If that takes away from it, though, yeah, you could say the triple threat women's match was actually better than if that, because that was a shocker to me. I stood up and was like, yes, actually, when they kept the belt on Io Sky,
Right.
because
Me
she
too.
deserves a run, and hopefully she gets one for at least till SummerSlam or longer. So because she's awesome. So,
Right. So what do you think
The
was the
other-
worst match overall of the whole weekend?
The worst match overall, um, I mean, if we're talking about probably, Orton versus Hendry, honestly, that was just a job level match, but I don't really count that because, it was just a job squad type thing. I'd probably
Right.
say the main event night too, honestly, Cody
Wow.
Rhodes, and John Cena, just because of, technically it might not be the worst match. The Cargo match wasn't that good either, and there were a couple others, but it's because it needed so much more, right? It needed so much more. The Rock needed to be there. The match itself was not the worst match, but maybe like a C plus. That's not cutting it. And to me, I would call that the worst match just because of the expectations for that match. And Ada Wolf also said that Drew was wearing the Doom armor from the new game, apparently, is what he said.
Yeah, who would know that? So another shameless promotion tie-in, and I didn't get it. It's like, come on, man, another one? Jeez.
Yeah,
I'll agree with you with the Cena Cody match in that the match itself I liked. What I liked when Cena came out and it was all black. There was not even like an entrance, right? Like I thought that was nicely done because like the antithesis of what Cena would normally do. And he shows that I'm giving you guys nothing. It goes along with that plot line. You get nothing new. You get nothing at all from me. But the match itself was good until the nonsense at the end when where's The Rock? Where's the plot? Oh, it's fucking Travis Scott coming out. It just sours it. It just turns it entirely. Have Scott come out with The Rock. Have something else interesting happen. Yeah, and that's their ending match. If that was maybe the main event of night 1 and the other triple threat was the main event of night 2, maybe it would have left you with a better feeling. But yeah, disappointing for me. I agree with you there on that. It really was a disappointing match.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, technically there were worse matches on the card. And then hold on, let me skip this real quick. They're trying to put it on. But like I said, technically there were worse matches. And the match itself, not bad, but it's just because the expectations are up here and we were given this, I'd have to rate that the worst match. And that's sad to say because that was the main match on the whole damn card, right? So
Right.
that's just my opinion on it. I think they do have a lot of room to do anything they want the rest of the year. I'm intrigued what they're going to do with Cena, how many dates he's going to work. Is it going to be, he's going to add some dates. I think we know the main event for Backlash, though, is going to be Randy Orton versus John Cena. I think we can predict that pretty safely. I think Punk's going to have another match with Cena. I would predict that probably for SummerSlam. But I think Cena's going to hold the belt probably all the way until their last pay-per-view.
Yes.
And then it's going to be Cody. And then it's going to be Cody going over, if I had to predict. So
I'll agree with you. I think that what they're going to try to do is emulate what they did with Roman, but it's very abridged, right? Really shortened. It's just going to be Cena all year holding the belt. Different people are going up against him, trying to take him down. And then the end of the year when he's officially going to retire, someone
Yeah.
beats him, probably Cody, and that completes the storyline. I think that's what they're going for.
Yep, that's what I think. I mean, that's what makes sense to me if I was booking it. So, I mean, why even do this if you're not going to run it all the way down? And they're not going to let him retire with the belt. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I like that storyline though. I'm going to be the last real champion. I do like that little touch there. But yeah, I think they're going to run down the clock to their last pay per view, and then Cody, most likely Cody goes over, and so. But we'll see what happens with Heyman, Rollins. Are they going to form an official like corporate? You know, remember the old corporation from back in the days?
Right.
Is Heyman actually working with The Rock? Is that going to come out, or do we just need to leave The Rock alone and just let him stay on the sidelines from now on? I don't know. But that would make sense. I don't know. Are they going to do something like that? Some official corporation faction, the corporation.
I think that, first of all, putting Heyman with Seth makes sense because having it with Roman again, it's getting played out. He's already been with Punk, and that would last for a little bit, but again, it would be played out. Putting it with Rollins is something fresh and new. If The Rock came back in some kind of a capacity where he'd be there a lot, then it would be amazing. But I don't believe that they're going to do that. I don't think they want to keep paying him. I think that he wants to do his own thing. He comes back from time to time. It just sucks that he was the beginning of the Cena Cody plot and then he disappeared. I don't want him to come back, involve himself with this plot for 5 minutes and then disappear for the rest of the year. I'd rather just have him stay away. So I guess we'll have to see, you know, what his schedule's like, but I don't know. It just seems to me like it's very flaky and very disingenuous, because you remember years ago when he said I'm coming back and I'm never going away ever again. And then he went away for a million years again. It's like, come on, man. You know, if you're not gonna be there, then don't try to hog the spotlight when it's convenient for you to get the paycheck. Either take off or come back or at least be there for a whole plot line.
I agree. Yeah, if it's gonna be another thing, like it made the moment so cool when he did the cutthroat, and I even didn't mind Travis Scott being there because he looked like a goon in the background, right? Like I actually, some people were pissed about that, and that he stiffed Cody with the shot, although apparently he was told to do that. So I kind of liked the whole look of the thing, and The Rock being there made it extra special. But then he just disappeared, and there was never any reasoning given for why. You know, how he was able to talk John Cena into this, you know, like, I don't know. I needed something. He could have cut an interview from some movie set and just broadcast that on air if he couldn't show up in person. But yeah, if it's going to be half-assed, you know, one-time appearance, yeah, I wouldn't be in favor of that. Unless maybe it's to cost, maybe Punk's really close to getting the title at SummerSlam and The Rock comes out or something like that happens. That might make sense. But yeah, he needs to be way more involved. But overall, leaning down with a couple of great exceptions, but it just didn't feel like Mania. And I know that, like I said earlier, there were some injuries, but you know, you got to roll with it.
That's right. All right. Hey, thanks for being on my show. I was on your show. That was a cool crossover right there. I appreciate that for your time. And I hope that, I know you're probably continuing to stream. I'm going to continue to stream as well. I'm going to actually do play-by-play of the whole thing now for my audience. But this was fun. Thanks a lot for the crossover. I think that worked out well.
I enjoyed it, brother. It did. And take care.
Take care. See you later, man.
All right. Peace out.
All right. So let me go ahead and close that. That was fun. And it actually worked. I'm shocked it worked. I thought for sure we were going to have some technical difficulties, but the appearance actually worked. So maybe I'm actually starting to get decent at tech. I don't know. I thought that everything was going to crash. It was going to be shitty, but actually I got his volume correct and everything. Like, there you go. I got to give me some credit, right? So, you know, thanks to Ethan for appearing. I hope that you guys enjoyed that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some shout outs for people who've contributed. I'm going to do some play-by-play of the actual nights 1 and 2 of WrestleMania 41. Then after we do that for a bit, I have the feedback from Cypress TV, who was our second of 3 co-hosts over the last month here on the show. He gave his opinions and takes on stuff. And so I would definitely like to share that with you guys as well. And then at the tail end of this show, between say 3 and 4 p.m., so probably about maybe like 3:15, 3:30ish, we're going to get Gahul on here, and he's going to give his opinions, okay? So everyone who's been a co-host of Smart Guys over the last month or so will get to chime in and talk a little bit about what they thought about WrestleMania, which is going to be pretty cool, I feel. All right. All right. Let's do some shout outs. First of all, Cade, thank you for becoming a member here on DSPReacts. Let's get you up on the leaderboard as the first membership of the day. Remember, guys, how this show does today with attendance, engagement, and support will determine if I continue doing Smart Guys moving forward. If it does well, then I will continue to do the show. All right. If it does not do well, then I might retire the show. Or, maybe we'll do something in between where I do it every once in a while. If something interesting is going on, maybe I'll do some NXT and AEW instead of just Raw and SmackDown. I'm debating different things. So let's see how the show goes. But please support the show. It's a normal stream for me. I'm looking to hit my goal of $150. And here you can do anything. You can super chat. You can become a member. You can but gift a sub over on Kick. That would be amazing if you did that. Anything appreciated here today on the Smart Guys Super Show. All right. We have a couple tips to shout out. $2 tip came in here. So this person has saying something that has absolutely nothing to do with pro wrestling. Here's what they say. On a suggestion, this is a anonymous $2 tip. Let's get that added. Thank you, anonymous $2 tip. Yeah, now is it 28? I couldn't see. We're at 28. Okay. If you want your channel to grow, now, first of all, I wonder what channel he's talking about because DSPReacts, I just do this show and, like DSP tries it, food vlogs and stuff. But let's see. You need to put yourself out of your comfort zone a bit. Do some stuff that will make you feel uncomfortable, but may entertain an audience, like doing playthroughs of really bad games. Oh, I have been doing that. For example, not necessarily really bad games, but we did a marathon recently of Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, that's a series that historically I don't like. I thought that it was shit. But when I actually played it in a marathon setting, while having some drinks to ease the pain, I actually liked a couple of the games. I didn't like all of them, right? But I actually did enjoy them, okay? We do viewers' choice events where people nominate and vote for games that I don't necessarily like or have heard of, but we try them out, and if they work, I do full playthroughs of some of them, okay? Now, when you say actively try to play bad games, I'd be okay with that. Sometimes we could do rage-a-thons. Maybe we could do a bad games marathon where you guys nominate and vote on games that you know suck, but you want to see me play them in a marathon setting. Am I actually going to play a bad game from start to finish and force myself to? No, because people won't show up for that. Historically, back in the day, all right, I used to play every major release that came out, good, bad, or between. And what used to happen was if it was a good game, I'd get good attendance, good support, and everyone would love it. If it was a bad game, I would still get good attendance and good support because people liked seeing me basically lampoon or razz or make fun of a bad game. What's happened over time is that now things have changed. I have a much smaller audience. My audience likes to see me enjoy myself. Now, there's some exceptions to that, right? When I play a Souls game and I'm suffering with the ultra difficulty of the, frequent deaths, or if I'm playing a fighting game or Call of Duty online, I'm being challenged. That's entertaining, okay? But for the most part, my audience has become kind of a chill audience. They want to relax with me, interact with me, and have a positive social experience while I'm playing a game. If I just play bad games, people have actually told me they don't enjoy it as much. They'd rather see me enjoying myself and see that come through than just see me constantly be upset and rage. But again, I'm definitely not saying we couldn't do something like that. Maybe like a fun special event or something like that could actually work. So I thank you for that suggestion. We are looking for new milestone reward events and things like that in the future. So perhaps we should do that. Okay, cool. Thank you. Looks like a $1.50 tip came in here from Willie Bawanka. Ralph is getting the love. Here you go. What are you talking about? Ralph already was doing a lengthy stream. He does long daytime streams. And so those are his regular viewers and regular supporters that are supporting him on that show. So congrats to him that he's having a good stream there and getting contributions. I was getting contributions, but I wasn't shouting them out. I was going to wait until Ralph was off the show to start shouting these out because a few did come in, but I wasn't going to interrupt him to read these out. He does text to speech, so kind of hard to get that to not interrupt his show, right? I'm getting some questions in chat. We'll answer them. Real huge asshole. Actually, it's real huge asshole, not real huge asshole. Real huge asshole gifted a sub over on Kick. Thank you. That, I believe, that is actually our first gifted sub of the Smark Guys broadcast. We did get one earlier on my podcast, and I did carry that over. But no, that definitely helps a lot. Thank you, real huge asshole. All right, so guys, here's the deal. Please support today's Smart Guys event. We are now about an hour and a half into it. What I'm going to do is start doing play-by-play of actually what happened during WrestleMania and giving you my opinions on each match. We'll probably do that for like an hour. And then what I'd like to do is go through Cypress TV's feelings overall about WrestleMania. Then I'll probably finish the play-by-play stuff. And then we will have Gahul on for the end of the show. I will be shouting out all contributions coming in as we do this. So if you liked it, please support. And I will give you a live shout out. Okay. In fact, I just got a $2 tip from Sylvester Stallone. That's a pretty cool show. I love the 90s wrestling, but fell out of love with it. You guys really seem to be enjoying yourselves, but more importantly, are quite knowledgeable on the subject. It's a yes from me. Good job on this. Well, thank you. Hi, Jasper. Jasper Kitty's in the office right now, too. He's wondering what's going on. How you doing, buddy? Thank you for that. Sylvester Stallone. Appreciate the $2 tip. Remember, when we get to $100 of support today, I am going to open a pack of Topps WWE cards live on the stream as well. And we're hoping that we're going to get that rare numbered card. I only have 5 packs, and there's a rare numbered card in one of those. Okay. Why am I so small in the middle of the screen? Because when you have a guest, you need the room. I could go full screen by doing this, and I'd be okay doing this if this is what you guys want. But when I was doing Smart Guys previously, people said that they wanted this screen because it had the background and everything. Here, let me turn off the music. They said they wanted the background. So I'd be down with either. Whatever you guys want. You want me to be full screen? I'll be full screen as well. That's your call. I could be full screen. I don't mind. Okay? Let's see here. Batflex Ben says, Ralph does text-to-speech and he has a billion trolls. Well, here's the deal. Ralph streams on a platform that doesn't give a shit. It's just to be honest. Ralph is streaming on Rumble right now. On Rumble, pretty much you can get away with like murder, highway robbery. That's how Rumble operates. That's why people who do politics go to Rumble, because anything goes. They can't get in trouble. I stream on YouTube. On YouTube, a lot of stuff does not fly. A lot of language. And you know, the moment if I enable text-to-speech on YouTube, you would have people who be doing the N-word or variations of words that sound like the N-word to get me in trouble. You know, other racist things, sexist things. They'd start doxing, like saying addresses and shit. I can't do it. I get into too much trouble on YouTube, so sadly I can't do that. Okay? Okay. I received another $2 tip. The War Raiders wore Clash of Clans outfits from the mobile game. Oh, come on. So Drew McIntyre wore a Doom outfit, and the War Raiders wore Clash of Clans. That is terrible. And the outfits looked awful. They looked like action figure accessories. They looked like crap, man. Well, no wonder. I mean, no wonder they look like shit. You see what I mean about WrestleMania just being like a big sellout show? And I don't mean that they sold out all the seats. They did. I mean, it's all about the money at this point. Like, that's awful. Like, I don't care about them wearing Clash of Clans and looking like jackasses. The outfits look legit bad. Okay. Shout out to Doc Bups His Bonce Rons. What a name. Who just gifted 5 subs over on Kick. Thank you. Let's get you on the leaderboard. That is a big contribution. Doc Bups His Bonce Rons. Do I know what that means? No. I have no idea what that means, by the way. At all. But that is a whopping $25 of support. So just like that, we're at $63. We are more than halfway to opening our first pack of cards here on the stream, guys. So if you want to see us open those Topps cards, let's get to 100. All right, let's do it. Let's get to $100 on the show. Good stuff. No, I did not see NXT. I have not, like I've told you guys previous, I don't watch NXT. I think I have access to it. I think it's actually on like Netflix in another country, and I can use my VPN now to go and switch to another country and be able to watch it. But I have not watched any NXT as of late. I know nothing about the product. I know nothing about the wrestlers. As you know, if you've watched me unbox those cards, I don't even know who the wrestlers are in there, and it's a lot of NXT wrestlers. So no, I haven't seen that. Again, that might be something that I would consider doing in the future. Oh, by the way, I can take these off now. I just realized I can take off the headphones. That might be something that I would consider doing in the future. If you guys were interested. But I would definitely say I don't want to do just Raw and SmackDown like constantly nonstop. That I did get burnt out on that. I do feel like just Raw and SmackDown nonstop does get boring, and I would like to do different things over time. Okay. There's a react pop-up. I'm just make that a little bigger. Ooh, that's way too big. Middle size there. There we go. Put it down here. The YouTube pop-ups I will put here. So basically, if you guys do a gifted sub, it goes on the left side, and super chats and memberships go on the right side. There we go. Okay. Are we caught up? No. Kay just did a $2 super chat. He says, I don't like wrestling, but you're doing great. Thank you, Kay. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the show. Again, a lot of work went into this to put it together. Not only me watching an insane amount of wrestling over the last several months and then WrestleMania over the weekend, but also, coordinating to have guests on. So I hope that you guys enjoyed. I think Ethan Ralph did a great job right there, did he not? I think he did great. I think that he actually legit knew what he was talking about. He had great takes. I disagree with him on some of those takes, and you're going to see because we're about to go match to match now. And you're going to see that some of the things he liked, I didn't like, and some of the things that I liked, he didn't like. But I think he actually conducted himself well. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Let's start getting play-by-play. And again, if you guys contribute, I will stop the play-by-play to give you shout-outs. If you have any takes on what I'm saying about these matches, please, by all means, chime in. I'd like to hear your opinions as well. Okay? Okay. So, WrestleMania 41 Night 1. I've already talked about the opening. I didn't like the set, okay, at all. I didn't like the music. I didn't like DJ Salvatore Gnocchi coming out and advertising his dishes or whatever the hell he is, because I don't know who the hell he is. Okay, I know he's a guest character in Fatal Fury. I didn't like the Fatal Fury advertisement in the middle of the ring. Now that we know the War Raiders were wearing Clash of Clans outfits and Drew McIntyre was wearing a Doomslayer outfit, I didn't like that. I just think it was all this advertisement is just shit. And the truth is, WWE doesn't need it. They don't. It's just blatant sellout stuff to make more money that they don't need. They're doing well. They sold out both nights. It's dumb, it's intrusive, and it ruins the product. For me, anyway, it bothers me. Like, I don't want to be bothered watching WrestleMania, okay? The first match of WrestleMania, curtain jerking, as predicted, it was Jey Uso, the number one contender, taking on Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, okay? First, flag runners ran out with the yeet, it said on the flags. They were standing on the ramp. A bunch of, dancers were dancing in front of the entrance ramp, the door. But then they cut out to the crowd, and in the crowd were the Raiderettes. That's right, the dance crew females from the Raiders football team, United States football team, dancing. All right. Then finally, Jey Uso starts to come out of the crowd, not out of the entrance ramp, but of the crowd. And that was bizarre because it's WrestleMania. The first guy should come out of the ramp, and he didn't. Okay. And he comes out wearing his usual outfit, which is the suit, but the arms are loose, but the suit over him. But it's oddly bedazzled. It just has shiny, gaudy sequins on it. And I wrote down, he basically looks like a bedazzled Power Ranger coming out for this thing. Oddly enough, he's not yeeting. So the entire crowd is going, yeet, yeet, and he's not doing it. And even Wade Barrett says on the microphone, Jey seems awfully restrained tonight. He just wasn't celebrating on the way out. And I'm assuming that they're following the plot line, that he's so serious about this. He's so angry with what happened between Gunther and Jimmy, his brother, bloodying him up and all of that. And he really wants to get his revenge on Gunther. Okay. So Gunther comes out. I absolutely love his music. It makes him sound so ominous and evil. And he does come out of these opening double doors. And that actually looks cool because he stands there like this with the light behind him. And you see his silhouette. And it's like, wow, that looks pretty, a good presentation of him coming out. Okay. And so he comes out. And I'm going to say this. All right. Overall, this actually legitimately is one of my favorite matches of WrestleMania 41. Why? Because I had said previously, I felt like the match wasn't going to be good because I didn't think that Jay could hold a candle to Gunther's wrestling ability and that this was going to be exposed during the match. And so they needed to basically just do the match quick. So that way it would be over with. Maybe he just runs out there, all of a sudden hits 3 moves, pins him, done, and that's the end. And then the whole crowd yeets and that's the end, right? Instead, this is an incredibly long, drawn out, detailed match. You've got Gunther basically overpowering Jay, hitting him with lariats, power bombs, all this stuff, technical stuff, and basically doing a masterclass on Jay. But Jay never, ever giving up and persevering through it all. Then you've got Jay finally mounting some offense back. Okay, at one point, he's doing so many moves in a row, but then Gunther's kicking out. So it actually is a well-choreographed, well-scripted, well-done match. In fact, I couldn't even tell you, like, I thought this would be a botch fest. I didn't even notably write down a single botch during the match. So I was surprised with how well it went on, okay? But now what we have to do is we have to, and I even wrote here, this is basically Jay's best match, okay? Gunther does everything that he can do to basically win this. You know, you got Jay reversing the powerbomb, spearing, doing a splash, but Gunther kicks out at 2. Gunther cheats to hit him with the belt. Then he does a splash, his own splash against him, but then Jay kicks out, okay? There's a sleeper hold, but the crowd starts yeeting, and therefore, Jay reaches the ropes and escapes. I thought that was funny, like he's powered by yeeting, okay? Insane levels of chops and headbutts back and forth, showing that even though Gunther is the master of the chop, well, Jay has the headbutt, the Samoan headbutt in his repertoire, and he can give it back, okay? So how does the match end? Well, Gunther goes for a powerbomb, but Jay counters it and does his own powerbomb, super kicks Gunther, super kicks him again, then hits him with the spear, which to me is really weird because I thought, yeah, spear's Roman Reigns' finisher, but he still uses it. And then he finally goes up and he does his signature splash. Oh, is it over? No, he runs to the other side of the ring and he does another signature splash, the Uso splash. So like, that's got to be it, right? No, he doesn't go for the pin. Instead, he applies Gunther's own submission hold against him, and that's how he wins. Gunther taps in like 2 seconds. It's like he holds him, and then, oh, he's out. He taps right away. So Jimmy Uso comes out. There's a big celebration, and everyone is happy that we have a new World Heavyweight Champion, okay? Now, if this was going to curtain jerk, why did they make it a good match? Like, for example, I remember the Daniel Bryan Sheamus World Heavyweight Championship match from many years ago, where Daniel Bryan was the heel and Sheamus was the face, and Sheamus literally just bro kicked him 1, 2, 3. That was the end. That was the curtain jerk, and there was the title change. I thought for sure that would happen here. Like, it would be like a jobber match, like I said, but that's not what happened. Instead, it was actually a good match. So if you're going to make it a good match, why did you start WrestleMania with it? You know? Now, the good news is that, you know, maybe it powered the crowd up because they're all yeeting now. Yee. They're all excited and shit. Or maybe they just didn't want to have that happen later when the crowd was tired. Maybe they thought if the crowd was too tired, they wouldn't have yeeted well enough later on in the show. I don't know the reasoning. But definitely it was a little weird that they did this like this is the first match. And the 5-second tap out by Gunther. Because sadly, it makes Gunther look like a huge wimp. It just does. It makes him look like he sucks because he tapped to his own move. Even though he's supposed to be the unbeatable champion who has these long reigns, he couldn't beat this upstart who he'd beaten so many times before. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes him look really weak. And what I think is Jay now, heading out of WrestleMania, looks strong, but who's next? If you look at the title picture and everything, do you really think CM Punk, Roman Reigns, or Seth Rollins want to wrestle Jey Uso for that title? They don't give 2 shits, okay? What about Cody Rhodes? No, Cody's going to go after Cena, chasing Cena. So who's next for Jay? Do we really want to see Gunther again? No, absolutely not. We don't want that. So I honestly don't know what comes next for Jey Uso. Maybe they'll just start fresh and we'll have like an actual how can I say, an actual new plot line that's fresh and it starts up nicely. I would like that, I think. But now the question is, what happens to Gunther? Gunther was the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, or one of the longest, and then he lost it. They immediately gave him the World Heavyweight title. He had it for a year. Now he's done with that. Now what is there left for Gunther? He can't go after Cena because the top faces are going after Cena. He can't go after Jay. So what does he do? Can't go after Jacob Fatu. That's heel versus heel. Can't go after Dom. That's heel versus heel. I'm lost. Like, he's one of their strongest guys for sure, but they have nothing to do with him now, and I feel like that's really lame what they did there. Okay, so Cade is asking, what is a jobber? A jobber is basically a wrestler whose only job is to lose to others and enhance other talent. Like, you lose in a way that makes the other person look good. So if someone puts you in a submission hold and you immediately tap out, oh, they were so strong and so powerful, I immediately had to give up. That's a jobber. See? There you go. Lady Charisma says that Gunther losing like that is part of his character. He tapped in the same way in his story with Ilya Dragunov back in NXT. Oh, well, I don't watch NXT. I don't know about that. I mean, maybe it is like a come full circle moment. But then again, how many people watching Raw and SmackDown and WrestleMania also watch NXT? I don't know. Okay. So a jobber is a cuck, basically. Hey, some people have been very successful having an entire career as a jobber or having an entire part of their career jobbing out to a lot of people, but then actually having parts of their career where they were strong and treated seriously. So, okay. So, for the record, if you tip me $1 and you're a troll, I'm just going to ignore you. I'm not going to waste any time on your nonsense. Okay. But guys, let's get some support going. Let's hit that first $100 and get the unpacking of our first pack of cards. All right. Let's do that. How about this? Let's do that by 2 p.m. So about another 10 minutes. Let's hit that $100 by 2 p.m. so we can get a pack of cards unpacked before we get to Cypress TV's thoughts on WrestleMania. Okay. Okay. The second match of night one was the New Day versus the War Raiders. The New Day's new music sucks. It's like the New Day, jobs. The New Day farts. The New Day sings. The New Day sucks. The New Day eats and the New Day drinks and the New Day blows their nose. It's so dumb. It's so repetitive. It's a brainless shit. I hate it. Okay? Not to say that their old theme was good, but this is just like brain melting shit. Their new heel theme. Okay? They come out in suits that basically look like really bad anime outfits. Like, it's like fake muscles and shit on their bodies. And I was like Fist of the North Star or something. I don't know. Then, like I said, War Raiders come out looking awful. They're wearing these cartoonish, clownish, plastic-looking outfits. And people are like, oh, that's not League of Legends, a Clash of Clans. Well, how the fuck was I supposed to know that? It looks awful. And I don't play Clash of Clans. So what was the point of doing that? Anyway, here's the deal. The match is exactly as you expect. The War Raiders start hitting strong moves. Ivar nearly murders Kofi Kingston because he slips on the top rope doing a moonsault, gets the absolute wrong distance. Okay? The New Day are doing frequent tags back and forth as expected, but they're doing absolutely everything that they can do to cheat, basically. They're trying to get cheap hits in. They're trying to do things behind the ref's back, and it all works. Like, all this stuff is very effective against the War Raiders, who are not trying to cheat. They're trying to just hit legit moves, hard-hitting moves. But the New Day is just cheat, and it's all working, okay? So then after some back and forth, but not a very lengthy match, to be frank, I felt like it was one of the shorter matches of the pay-per-view. They hit their new finisher, Daylight, onto the neck of Ivar, and while one of them was holding the leg from the outside. So that's the thing. They were cheating. They were holding him there, and they weren't supposed to be able to. So he couldn't move, and he gets hits by the finisher. And then they did a quick 1-2-3 pin. They grabbed the titles like bandits in the night, run up the ramp, and basically just hightail it out of there, and that's it. And the War Raiders are just sitting there like they don't know what just happened, like they're shocked. So should the New Day have the titles over the War Raiders? Yes. However, the New Day actually need to have a plot line. They don't have a plot line right now. Their plot line was, oh, we turned heel and we just kind of make fun of everyone. And then we want a title shot out of nowhere. It was incredibly confusing. I don't even understand what the plot was, why they got to wrestle the War Raiders. I didn't feel like they earned the shot, especially when there's other tag teams that are all trying to vie for this position. So very weird, but I guess we'll see what happens now that WrestleMania is over. Hopefully they'll have a real plot line now. So up next, it was Naomi versus Jade Cargill. Oddly enough, Naomi comes out to her new theme song, which is metal. Yes, actually metal rock music, which is a lot different from her old glow theme, her glow up and shit theme. It's completely different and it's bizarre, quite frankly. Like, it's odd because it doesn't fit her at all. Some of the lyrics are, "This is your last warning, your last chance. Take and proceed with caution." So it goes in with her new persona as a heel. All right, it does. It works. But I want you to think about this. They're giving Naomi an entirely new character, an entirely new perspective, an entirely new outlook. This is going to be her character moving forward. So what would make sense if she actually looked good and won? So Jade Cargill comes out. She looks like Storm from X-Men, but they don't have the actual effect that they would have in the normal show. Like in the normal show, they have like the simulated snow coming down. They didn't have that at WrestleMania. So in my opinion, her entrance at WrestleMania, which is supposed to be the big one, actually was the worst one she's had that I've seen. It didn't have the effect and it looked stupid. Okay? So here's the match. It's very messy. There's a bunch of submission attempts back and forth, reversals back and forth. Nothing is looking too clean or crispy. Instead, it's a lot of kind of mistiming, sloppiness to the match, I feel. Naomi kind of dominates the match early because the announcers are saying her new aggressive persona has taken over. But in every power situation, Jade ends up overpowering her. Okay? Finally, she lifts Naomi onto her shoulders, turns it into some kind of a converted power bomb, then does her finishing move, 1, 2, 3. Very quick, very awful match. You could tell that they practiced this match out a lot, but still didn't really jive. Like, their wrestling styles didn't really go together well. And overall, it just left a bad taste in my mouth. Like I said, if you're going to have a new persona for Naomi, then this would have been the opportunity to have her not only show off that persona, but get a win. Have her actually show that she's changed and this new change in her makes her a dominant force to be reckoned with. Instead, if her first appearance as this new heel character, she loses, doesn't that undermine the entire idea? I'm just saying. Like, usually when you have a debut, that debut then lets that person win. And this was a re-debut for her for sure. And I feel like it was an incredibly squandered opportunity. Because now, who cares and who takes her seriously if her first chance to show off who she is new, she failed? And to Jade Cargill, who isn't a very good wrestler. So I didn't really like the match, quite frankly, okay? The next match, oh, by the way, so they run a bunch of ads, and there's a lot of Fatal Fury ads and shit, but they do this promotion, SummerSlam will be hosted by, and they show some black woman. I have no clue who she is. Zero. But she's literally sitting in like a dressing room, staring at like a cell phone camera. And she's saying things like, yo, you know me and I'm going to host SummerSlam and shit like that. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, who is this? I have no fucking clue. I don't even know if they even said who it was. And then that was it. They never mentioned it again. And I was like scratching my head like, what the fuck did I just see? So much like how they're getting mumble rapper Travis Scott to do stuff, now they're going to have, I guess, female artists too be part of it. But I don't know who she is. Can anyone in chat tell me who that is, who's hosting SummerSlam? I literally have no clue. And again, I don't understand how that's going to add anything. Who was it? That's correct. They introduced her as Black Woman. It was Cardi B. I didn't even recognize her. And I know who Cardi B is, and I swear to God, I didn't recognize her. So maybe having the phone like that, the phone camera, didn't look good, because I didn't know who the fuck that was at all. Do black people confuse me? No, not at all. What confuses me is WWE's desire to integrate these artists into their content when they don't match their content in any way. The music doesn't fit, so the person doesn't fit, and to have them as part of wrestling doesn't fit. It just looks like an odd sore thumb sticking out. It's fucking bizarre. And I don't know why they think they're getting more attention or more people to watch their product or pay them for their product. They're not. It's just a waste of time, you know? Anyway, the next match. By the way, after this match's recap, I want to open a pack of cards. So guys, let's get some support for after this. This is the Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight Intercontinental title match. US title match. My fault. Let's get some support now so that we can do our first pack of cards here on the show. All right. By the way, we're about at the halfway point of the show right now. We're getting to it. Okay. All right. So Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. So Solo Sikoa does come out in Jacob Fatu's corner, which we were all wondering what would happen with that because these two have had a falling out and a lot of issues over the last few weeks with Solo getting interfering with his matches without kind of his permission and him being upset with him, right? So LA Knight drives up in the passenger seat of a car. Didn't they say it was like a Maserati or something like that? I don't remember. They said what car it was, but I didn't write it down. But the funniest part about it is, as this happens, a weird meter appears in the corner of the screen. Imagine if right now, like a meter appeared in the screen. That looks like a speedometer, but it says it's the overheat meter. And you know what it is? They stole it. It's from Fatal Fury. So basically, during this match, this meter is going to heat up during the match when action is happening, as if it's a fighting game. This is so bizarre. Do you think people bought Fatal Fury City of the Wolves because there was a heat meter in the middle of the US title match? Like, who comes up with this shit? Really? This fucking odd shit. All right. Anyway, so there is some back and forth between the two, but every time that there's an exchange, it seems like Jacob Fatu wins the power. Okay. So there you go. And let's see here. LA Knight does get some momentum with repeated knees, throwing Fatu to the turnbuckle. He gets a top rope elbow drop on him, which is one of his signature moves. Jacob comes right back, like instant recovery, like he doesn't even care. Like he's no selling the offense, okay? Jacob hits him with a lot of different hip attacks, if you remember, kind of, reminiscent of what he's done to Braun Strowman and others. Then his first swanton, and it looks like maybe he's going to win early, but no, there is a late kick out by LA Knight. I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe LA Knight did kick out too late, but they said it was only a 2. It's like a 2.99999. Then Jacob Fatu goes to do a moonsault, but then they say, oh, LA Knight reversed it into a BFT, and he goes for a pin on Jacob, but it's awful. Like it looks like he's going to try to catch Jacob, but he completely misses, but then they pretend like he hit the move anyway. And they even did a replay, and the replay showed it again. Like the replay looked just as bad. So it's not like, oh, this replay will solve the angle. It actually it didn't look very good. Okay. So anyway, it definitely was a botch. The crowd starts going nuts. And then basically what starts happening is something that I like to call in pro wrestling. Why are we climbing the turnbuckles? All right. Because basically what happens is if you're in a match like this and it's starting to get drawn out and the guys are getting tired, this is when they start going into their third act where for no good reason whatsoever, someone decides to start climbing turnbuckles for no reason. Like, you're tired, you're slow. Why are you climbing the turnbuckle? You're never going to get up there and be able to hit the opponent with the top rope move now. It's obvious this is because they're setting something up for the finale of the match. And that's exactly what happened here. All of a sudden, LA Knight starts climbing the turnbuckle for no good reason. All right. Then Jacob absolutely murders him with a flying super Samoan drop from the top rope or the top turnbuckle. Then he does a moonsault and then he does another running moonsault. 1, 2, 3, easy win. So it was an okay match. It didn't make LA Knight look very good with the botch and the fact that he's a moron climbing the turnbuckle for no reason. Fatu looks great. Jacob Fatu now looks very strong. He looks like a beast. He looks like someone who is really getting great momentum moving forward. And hopefully now that he is the U.S. champion, he'll get a good plot line, because I feel like this plot line hasn't been great. Maybe the plot line will be there's dissension between him and Solo, and now Solo wants the belt and he's jealous that he has it or not. Like I had said on Smart Guys last week, maybe it's a celebration with him and Tama Tonga lifting up Jacob, and then they turn on him and shit, attack him. I don't know. But it'll be good to see Jacob have a plot line other than, oh, I just beat people up and interject myself into other people's fights, which is what he's been doing with Braun and others over the last several months, okay? And then the cool thing, there's a celebration. Haku, that's right, one of the actual, it was Haku and Fatu, the head shrinkers, right? Comes out and celebrates with him. So that's awesome to see his actual relative be there in person and celebrate with him after the match. That was a really special moment, I felt. So I think Haku's his dad, is it not? I think Haku is the dad of Jacob Fatu. So that was really cool. Okay. Well, folks, we have hit the halfway point of our show, and I'm sad to report that we have not gotten any additional contributions. I'm just lying. There was a $5 Canadian super chat from This Project is Retired. And he says, I've watched you forever. You never really looked at anyone other than yourself. Sounds like a meme to me, and I don't even know what that means. But thanks for the $5 super chat. Okay. You guys, we're at $70 to support again. When we hit 100, all right, I want to do the unpacking of a pack of the Topps cards. And obviously, by the end of tonight's show, or today's show, I want to hit my 150 goal to continue on with my goals for the week. And again, if you like Smart Guys, if you like wrestling commentary, and you want to see the show continue with guest hosts and the like, please support the show. If this show doesn't do well, I'm probably not going to continue doing it, just being honest. Okay? Okay. All right. Let's continue. So the next match was El Grande Americano, and he comes out to a mariachi band that all have American-style lucha masks on, which is pretty funny. It's in a sepia filter with graininess, and it plays at 10 frames per second. So they're trying to make it look like old-timey, like Western, Mexican cinema style, and it works. It's actually pretty funny. They could say he's from the Gulf of America, by the way, which is kind of funny. And then, out of nowhere, the doors open and they start playing different music. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought it's Rey Mysterio against El Grande Americano. Well, apparently, Rey Mysterio got an injury this week. I think it might have even been on SmackDown. So because he got an injury, he can't be at WrestleMania. I was like, oh, that completely changes the match. So who's coming out? Rey Fenix, the new luchador, who's the brother of Penta, and he's getting a big high-profile WrestleMania match this quickly, so that's kind of cool for him, right? Like, good for him. So, it's announced that WWE has purchased Lucha Libre AAA, which is a huge wrestling organization in Mexico. So that means that they're going to have a lot more Mexican luchadors, in their company. Now, does that mean that they're going to put them in NXT? Does that mean that they're going to end up being their own division like they used to have, like 205 Live, where they actually have like a lucha division? Who knows, right? I would say that their Penta experiment is working. That bringing in Penta at the beginning of the year, having him go through various different plot lines, building him up, and now having him be like in a big match at WrestleMania has worked. So maybe that's what the route that they want to continue with these guys. I don't know. But it's cool to hear that they're buying into Mexican wrestling at this point. Willie Bawanka with a highlighted message in Kick says, Nacho Libre is my favorite wrestler. Good for you. Anyway, you must really like the Minecraft movie, right? Okay. So here's the match, basically. It's back and forth. It's back and forth. It's back and forth. It's okay. It's a typical lucha match, except, Gable is landing more American-style wrestling moves like suplexes and holds, while Rey Fenix is hitting more of the high-flying move, right? Phoenix at one point looks like he sprained his ankle, but what they explain is that at one point, El Grande Americano had taken the metal plate that he's been using to cheat in recent matches, and he had slipped it into his mask. So when Rey Fenix kicked El Grande Americano, he actually hurt his own leg. Okay, so that's how they're selling this. So because of this, he puts him in the ankle lock, and then he does a flying headbutt with the metal mask on. 1, 2, 3. El Grande Americano wins. So is it a good match? Meh, it's okay. It continues the El Grande Americano plotline where he's going to keep cheating to win. If anything, what I will say is this. I like the plotline, but I don't like that American Made has essentially been swept into the background of this whole thing. Like, there's a whole stable there, right? There's I forget the name of the brothers there. I forgot their last name. And then there's also, what's her name? Ivy Nile or whatever. And no one's talking about them. They're not really involved in anything. They've been completely pushed to the background. Oh, the Creeds. Thank you. It's the Creeds. While El Grande Americano has taken the forefront. Now, I like Chad Gable. I like that he's doing something fun and interesting, but it is sad that the other people involved don't really matter anymore, and they've jobbed a million times. Like, they've jobbed out a ton of times, so what are they going to do with them moving forward? I really don't know. Okay? Okay. I have received a $2 tip. The most annoying thing with LA Knight for me is that you can tell when he's losing because he always comes out with the boo-boo face. Oh, really? So he comes out with a face where he's upset? I haven't seen enough LA Knight to recognize that. So maybe I should pay attention. Maybe if I pay attention, I'll notice he has a distinct face when he's going to lose a match, and that's how you can predict it. I'm going to actually look for that now. Thank you for that $2 tip. Okay, so we are now at 72 and climbing. Guys, again, we're more than halfway through the show. I would like to unpack a pack of cards, but we're not there yet. Continuing on, it's Tiffy time. It's Tiffany Stratton, the champion, in 3 literal Mattel Barbie boxes until it's revealed that the 2 ones on the side are LED recordings of her and the one in the middle is actually her. She bursts through the box and comes to the ring in a complete cotton candy looking baby blue and neon pink outfit. Then Charlotte Flair comes out wearing almost exactly the same outfit. It was actually bizarre because they both have bleach blonde hair. They both have similar physique. They both were wearing almost the same outfit. And I was very confused. Like, why did they do this? Was this intentional? That they really don't like each other or whatever? I don't know. But one thing I can say is, sadly, Charlotte just does not look very good anymore. And what I mean by that is she looks like a skeleton. Like, no exaggeration. Her body doesn't even look like it has muscle build on it anymore. And she just looks like a shell of her former self. I liked it when she used to look like she was buff and actually like a threat to the other women. Now she just looks like she's going to get in there and snap all her bones. It's actually quite disturbing. I hope she's okay. Quite honestly. I don't know what's going on with her. But they have their match. And here's the deal. Ethan Rowell said he actually thought the match was good. I hated this match. All right? Really. I absolutely, positively hated this match. And here's why. It was boring. It was too slow-paced. It was way too long. All right? They continuously tried to pull spots that didn't work. There was one point, okay? One of them went up on the top turnbuckle, and another, why are we going up on the top turnbuckle situation? All right? The other tried to get her from behind, and the spot was supposed to be that the one on the turnbuckle would do a backwards roll over them and then get the drop. They went to do the backwards roll and got stuck, and then they awkwardly flopped off the side, but then pretended like they didn't to try to actually grab her, and it just didn't work. It looked awful. There was one point where Tiffy flipped over Charlotte, like over the ropes, over Charlotte's head, and then proceeded, instead of attacking her, to run the ropes, come back incredibly slow, and then attack her. It was obvious that this match was choreographed and or booked by someone who thought that they would be able to pull it off. They could not. They were frequently forgetting their spots, like constantly forgetting their spots in the match. And it was kind of embarrassing, quite frankly, to be honest here. I just did not think it was a very good match. And honestly, also, you know, the things that they're trying to do, they can't do. So how does it end? It's a long-ass, drawn-out match. If anything, what I would say is the one impressive thing about the match, it is a very long match, and they actually had endurance to do that, but I just wish the match was good. Like, if you're going to do an incredibly long match, the match better be good. And it literally wasn't. It actually was a very disappointing match that I did not like. So the ending is Tiffy does a rolling out of nowhere, grabs Charlotte, does a rolling senton, jumps up on the corner, prettiest moonsault ever, 1, 2, 3. Right? So to me, it was like torture. Like, seriously, because it was so long trying to get through it. And I just wish that it was faster. And quite frankly, I hope that that's it for that plot line. Like, I don't want to see Charlotte wrestle Tiffy like ever again. I just want it to be someone different, someone new, someone more interesting. I just hated the whole thing from top to bottom. I thought that the match sucked. Too many botches. Okay? I received a $2 tip. How much would it take for me to sleep with Nia Jax? There is no amount that you could give me. It would not happen. Okay, thanks for the $2 tip. It's just an impossible mission. Let's put it that way. Okay. We're at 74 and climbing. 26 to go for our first pack opening. All right. The main event of night 1 at WrestleMania. Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. Seth comes out first, dressed in all black, and he has a flamethrower, and he blows it. So you're thinking, oh, it's his old burn it down plot line. That must be what they're going for. But then all the lights go off, and all of a sudden now he's in all white, and he looks almost angelic as he comes out. And once again, that heat meter that was in the corner of the LA Knight Jacob Fatu match reappears and maxes out as he's standing there angelic walking down the ramp in all white. So they really, really wanted to push this Fatal Fury thing, okay? Roman came out alone. No, Paul Heyman, but he does have the Ula Fala, which he won back from Solo Sikoa back in January. So at least he looks kind of fancy with the Ula Fala on, but it's weird that they bring this up now. He hasn't cared about this literally since January, so I don't know why it's a big deal. And then they actually announced it's a record 10 main events for Roman at WrestleMania. CM Punk gets an incredibly extended intro. My addiction is wrestling then and now. They show him back in the day when he was first introduced to WWE saying that. Then they show him now still saying it as an older man. And then they played his old theme song, This Fire Burns Always. Remember that song? Even through the darkest days, this fire burns always. And that was, I forget the band that played that. But that was his old theme when he was like in ECW and then, WWE at first, okay? So, so he comes out with Paul Heyman, and In Living Color is there to play his entrance live twice. This was the second time. Actually, over a decade ago, In Living Color was at WrestleMania once to play his theme. This is the second time now that they have done it. And it's funny because if you don't know, In Living Color is a more jazzy band. Like they don't play it hard. They go look in my eyes until you see the cult of personality. So it's like more upbeat, more fast paced than their album version. But I like it. Like, I like them as a band like that. But I think a lot of people get shaken by that because they think, oh, they're a hard rock band or something. They're not at all. Like, literally, they're not. They're completely different from what people seem to think from hearing their theme endlessly in WWE for years here. Okay? So, he comes out with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman with the old intros as well. They're all doing this clobbering time together and everything, which is like a total throwback to the old days. All right? Now, here's the thing. I could tell you about the match, but I think you know what to expect. They all beat the shit out of each other. They all have great, chemistry. They all are great wrestlers. They're doing spots. There's some really nice spots in this match. But I don't really need to go into detail about it. What I want to do is tell you about how it ends, because that's really the main event of everything here. So after a very long, drawn-out match, because it is, they give it time. It's a very good match for the main event of night 1. We've got, basically, Paul Heyman grabbing a chair and handing it to CM Punk. Go hit Roman Reigns with the chair. Punk goes to hit Roman Reigns with the chair. Low blow from Paul Heyman to CM Punk. So now, Paul Heyman picks up the chair and hands it to Roman Reigns. My tribal chief, this was my plan. the entire time, my tribal chief. All right, let's do it, my tribal chief. Roman now. He's finally going to get his revenge for when Seth hit him with the chair back in the day, the ultimate betrayal. Remember when he was the architect and he betrayed the Shield back in the day? He goes to hit Seth. Paul Heyman with the low blow to Roman Reigns. And the whole crowd gasps. And then Seth Rollins standing there laughing maniacally. This was his evil plan all along. All right? So, chair shot by Seth to Roman, pins him, 1, 2, 3. Done. And that's the end of night 1. Now, here's the thing. That was a great main event. The match had tons of great wrestling. The match had many interesting spots. But there's a problem. The ending leaked. Like, everyone had already figured out that Paul Heyman was going to turn on CM Punk. We didn't know that he was going to do a double turn, but we all knew that he was going to team up with Seth. Out of my 3 guest hosts, all right, I'm almost positive that at least 2, if not all 3 of them, all expected this as well. So if everyone on the internet already figured out your outcome, why do that outcome? Why not change it? Why not mix it up? Why not add a new factor or have something in there that will at least give a little bit of unexpected variety? Because I feel like, sadly, the actual potential of the match is squandered when people already figured out the outcome. And there have been many times that when WWE has the outcome get spoiled like that, they'll change it up a little bit. They made no effort to do that at all. So I like that main event of night 1, all right? But it disappoints me to know that I already knew the outcome. It wasn't as interesting to me. So night 1 overall, I would actually argue my favorite match of night 1 actually was Jimmy Uso and Gunther, because it did have Jimmy actually redeem himself and look like a good wrestler. But sadly, Gunther now has lost all momentum. And I don't like that, but still, it was a great match. It was a great way to open the show. And overall, I did like that match. Now, by far, the worst match of night 1, I feel, was Tiffy and Charlotte. But at the same time, I feel like the wasted match potential was Jade and Naomi. Jade and Naomi could have built up Naomi as a new character, a new heel, and it completely wasted time. The Tiffany and Charlotte match got a lot of time and just was not entertaining because of the botch fest that was happening. So a lot of disappointment there, quite frankly. Okay. Alex from Phoenix did a $5 super chat. Jade Cargill's wrestling and mic skills have not improved in 5-something years that I've seen her. Honestly, she doesn't show hunger to learn. Well, that's just sad. Again, I'm just getting exposed to a lot of these people because I've only been watching wrestling since January. So yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not impressed with her. Seems like she has the look and that's it. Like, just a look isn't enough. China had the look, but over time, China learned how to wrestle and be more dominant and entertaining, right? But sadly, Jade just seems to have the look and that's it. All right? So that's night 1. And what I'd like to do is start going through Cypress TV's actual takes on stuff. So, Cypress TV could not be here live, sadly. And, I apologize for that. He wanted to be here live, but, he's a family man. He's got stuff to do. And so Cypress has some takes on various matches that he'd like to share. Let's go through it. He says, hey, everyone, I apologize for not being able to appear on today's show because of scheduling conflicts. Bill did ask me to give my thoughts on WrestleMania. I don't want to go over everything, but I'll cover key matches that I want to mention. So, number 1, Jay versus Gunther. Excuse me. Overall, the Jay versus Gunther match was okay. Nothing too crazy, but it wasn't terrible. The ending was a major disappointment. If he used the new submission we haven't seen, it would have been possibly created a new dimension for him. But by choosing to use Gunther's submission, it did nothing for him. They found a weird way to protect Gunther while suffering a loss. I don't think you protected Gunther at all. I think it legit made Gunther look awful. I think it deflated Gunther to lose to a submission hold in 5 seconds to a guy who he's already beaten tons of times, and now all of a sudden he can't put him out, and then he uses his own move to beat him. I just think it's the opposite. I think it actually killed Gunther's momentum. I don't know what they're going to do with Gunther moving forward, but it definitely helped Jay. Tiffany versus Charlotte. I thought this was going to be a shoot. It was a brutal match, don't get me wrong. For some reason, Charlotte still can't find a pair of trunks that will fit her properly. Tiffany carried her through the match, not without a beating. Much like Derek White in the NBA Finals, Tiffany has come out on top. WWE made the right decision there, and I can't complain. Tiffany Barbie by Mattel incoming. Yeah, I get the feeling they probably will sell a Tiffany Mattel doll at this point. Maybe it won't be Barbie, but it'll be like the Tiffany doll. It seems like they're going for every possible sponsorship, and that would be one that they could do. That makes sense. Excuse me. But personally, I hated the match. I just thought that it was a botch fest, and it took too long. Punk versus Roman versus Seth. Purely cinematic, from a tribute to CM Punk's career at the beginning to the final bell. This match was a classic that will be most remembered for the final act. Seeing flashes of 2013 Punk and Paul to 2023 Roman and Paul, all leading to a recreation shot for shot right down to the camera angle of June 2nd, 2014. I think that was the day when he turned on the Shield. We thought Roman would get his revenge on Seth all these years later just for Paul to do the betrayal. Some say it was predictable, and I don't disagree. WWE could have easily had Paul turn on them both and align with Seth in a simple way, but the drama they used to lead up to this made it a masterpiece. Best match of the night because of the drama. Overall night, night one was just mid. See, here's my take. We already knew the twist. Like, we already figured it out. And because we already figured it out, I didn't like the match as much. I thought the match was good, but it's hard for me to say that's my favorite match when I already knew the outcome ahead of time. Night 2, Io Sky versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea. I did not enjoy this. Wow, I disagree here. I cannot put my finger on why. It could have been the build, and I feel like from the start, Bianca Belair could have been involved in Naomi's match. Ripley should have never lost that title, and Io should have won the Rumble. Instead, we get a weird triple threat, and Io retains. The build kills it for me, and the match didn't help. I disagree. We're going to get to that because that's the first match of Night 2 that I'm going to recap. Personally, I actually really liked that match. And I'll tell you why when I do my personal recap, okay? And then this is it, Cena versus Cody. Cody's entrance was dumb. Motorcycles and an Iron Man skull mask. I'll talk about that for sure when I do my recap. He would have been better served coming out like Cena. This was a match ripped right out of 1997 WCW. Let's see here. Oh, sorry. There were bounce outside after slams, big boots to the center of the ring, removing the corner turnbuckle. I can tell Cena's been watching a lot of Hollywood Hogan lately. Unfortunately for Cena, he doesn't have a slimeball personality like Hogan did. In fact, I don't even know what personality Cena has. He looks like an NPC to me. Zero personality. And he's giving the fans nothing just a little too far now. I didn't hate the match, but I also didn't like it. Also, Cena didn't need to win this. I could have made a case that the story would have been better if he lost. Can you imagine a loss taking John Cena going unhinged? And now it adds a more interesting layer to Cena for the rest of the year. If you can't tell, I'm not looking forward to the monotone Cena as champion. Speaking of looking forward to, we all could have looked forward to seeing The Rock. Instead, we just get Travis Scott by himself. That being said, it's kind of poetic. The match wrapped up Mania this year. It had some good moments, but ultimately ended up a disappointment. Cody did his best, and I look forward to what he does next. More importantly, I look forward to a Summer of Punk 2, because that's what I feel will lie for Cena at the end of SummerSlam. So he thinks it's going to be Punk and Cena at SummerSlam. Night 2 was also just mid for me. You know, I didn't hate WrestleMania, but I will admit I enjoyed Night 1 way more. Overall, it was definitely worthy of being called a WrestleMania card. Again, I agree. I think Night 1 overall was much better than Night 2. And that's weird because you want to save all your buildup and stuff for the end. So I will agree there, but I disagree. I like Cena going over. It gives everyone something else to do rather than just Cody continuing on with a plot line where he's not a believable champion at this point. You know, no one really is. I don't think we're really loving him as the unbeatable face at this point. And overall, I liked the triple threat women's match. So I disagree with him there. So there you go. Some pretty different takes there, I feel. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you, Cypress TV, for sharing your thoughts. Sorry you couldn't be here to actually do some back and forth, but I really appreciate you giving us your overall thoughts about the event. Okay. Some more contributions. A $2 tip. Who wins a battle royal? Nia Jax, Piper Niven, Asia Kong, Rhonda Singh, or Awesome Kong? Probably Awesome Kong. And then I got a 420 tip. from Big Papa Phil. Let me get a nice animation for him. It worked. Cool. So, Big Papa Phil says, I don't watch WWE anymore, but I'll gladly consume WWE content through your Smart Guys coverage and pay you to do it. Well, thank you, Big Papa Phil. I appreciate that. That's a $4.20 tip plus a $6 or $2 tip. So that's $6. The guys, we're up to $85 of support. So the good news is we're more than halfway to our goal. However, I'm only streaming till about 4 p.m. I'm about to start talking about WrestleMania Night 2 now. And covering each match play-by-play there. And it would be great if we could at least hit my goal, my standard goal of $150. All right. Obviously, I told you guys I wanted to do a pack unpacking at $100, but we didn't hit it yet. So it is what it is. By the way, I am going to take a break shortly when my wife gets home from work. Because I need to. I actually have to use the restroom. So very shortly, we're going to have a break, and then I'm going to come back and recap all of Night 2, and then Gahul's going to come on and end the show. All right? So let's get started with the Night 2 recap. Please support the show if you can or haven't yet. So Stephanie McMahon opens up the show this night. First night was Triple H. Second night, Stephanie. She says, I've been a part of WWE since I was 16, and you're a part of my family, so welcome home. And then it is the women's triple threat for the title. Io Sky comes out first. I love Io Sky's heel theme because it's very slow paced and it just feels like a cocky, creepy theme. Problem being, the ramp was so long, it was very hard for her to come out, and it took too long. So the theme just kept going, and she didn't have much to do. So it wasn't that interesting. You know what I mean? She's not dancing or anything. She's just holding the title coming out. I think the ramp was just way too long and boring. Okay. Bianca came out, and there was a whole group of girls out there doing jump rope and acrobatics with other long fake hair, kind of similar to hers. And apparently she hugged a girl, and it was apparently her stepdaughter. So that was kind of cool. And Rhea comes out last. She had an insanely stupid looking bone hand helmet, like skeleton hands. Really stupid looking. And literally it took so long for her to come out. I skipped the entrance and it was 10 minutes. Okay. So basically here's the deal. This match is very interesting because it's all of them kind of going in a circle, doing all of their spots. Yes, Rhea has all the power moves. Yes, Bianca has some power moves, but is also utilizing her athleticism and the whip of the hair. Io is doing high flying moves and lots of reversals and things like that. So overall, I could sit here and call out spots. I don't really think I need to. Okay, it's solid wrestling. It's good stuff. I recommend that you check it out if you didn't see the match. It's the ending of the match that got me because I literally never expected it. I never expected the end of the match to go like this. So here's how it went. Rhea does a superplex attempt on Bianca, but Bianca blocks it, headbutts her, okay, so that Rhea falls. Now, Io jumps up to the top turnbuckle and takes over. She goes for a super head scissors, but it gets reversed. She bounces head first off of the post. So now it looks like, Io's out of the match. Bianca picks her up on her shoulders. It gets reversed. There's a ridiculous amount of reversals here. She braid slaps her. She then hits the KOD. 1, 2. So it looks like Bianca's about to win. She's about to pin Rhea. 1, 2. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Io Sky does a moonsault on top of both of them. And this is kind of representative of what the entire storyline has been. Even though Io Sky is the champion, she's been the afterthought, the third wheel, the one that everyone doesn't take seriously and keeps forgetting about. Well, it seems like the main event is just supposed to be Bianca versus Rhea. So they basically throw her out of the match. They bonk her head off the ring post and say, she's out of the match. Let's do our one-on-one now. But as they're doing their one-on-one, they're so distracted, they don't pay attention. She hits them both with a moonsault and goes 1, 2, 3. And Io retains. And for me, that's just perfect because that actually was the culmination of the whole plot line, right? And the truth is, I've said this before, I just don't feel like Io had any real plot in this whole rivalry for the last month and a half. Instead, she beat Rhea, and then she's just been the third wheel. Well, now, because she retained, hopefully, if Rhea and Bianca want to go off and have a rivalry for themselves or even do other ones, let them do it. But let her now have her own plot line and actually get the spotlight. Because I feel like that's been the big thing lacking. She didn't get enough attention when she held the title. I was shocked she retained, but now maybe post WrestleMania, they will actually give her that opportunity. All right. So good stuff. I liked the outcome. I liked the match. Actually, one of my favorite matches is of the entire weekend because I felt like it went the right way. Well, everyone, let's continue. Let's keep recapping night 2 of WrestleMania 41. All right. So up next, Drew McIntyre enters, and he is wearing a ridiculous outfit. Again, it's very reminiscent of the very cartoony looking, plastic looking outfit that the War Raiders were wearing on night 1 of WrestleMania. And I question, why is he wearing this? You know, what are they getting at? And what people have told me in the chat here today is basically that was a Doom Eternal or Doom Slayer outfit from the upcoming new Doom, the Dark Knight or whatever. And I'm like, how was I supposed to know that? I don't even know where you guys get this information from, because I was watching the show and I didn't know that. I was staring at it, squinting, like, what the frick is he wearing? I couldn't figure it out. So anyway, so he comes out and looks absolutely stupid in this outfit, to be frank. Okay, again, Masters of the Universe outfits, right? It looks like something that Man-at-Arms or Lockjaw or whoever would be wearing from, you know, Masters of the Universe. So they said, and this is funny, they said it's a no-holds-barred Sin City street fight. And I was actually scratching my head. I was like, wait a minute. Had that been previously announced? Or did they actually add that, like, and didn't say anything? And now, because I don't remember them saying that this was going to be a no-holds-barred match, but maybe they did, and it didn't stick with me. Okay, so maybe that's my fault. Maybe they did announce that at some point. All right. So a guitarist comes out and starts playing this crazy guitar solo, but it's really weird because he has this like electronic synth effect on, and it sounds like someone is zipping a zipper up and down, like zzz, 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 over and over as he plays the guitar. But I'm like, dude, the guy definitely has a lot of skill. So who is this guy? And then he announced this is actually Kerry King from Slayer. I was like, oh, why did they put that stupid effect on his guitar then? Because he's a really good musician. So why? So just turn the effect off and let me hear him cook on the guitar. I don't want to hear zipper going up and down. They could have literally had people with like, you know, sweatshirts just going like this. It probably would have sounded the same. Anyway, so Damian Priest comes out, and it's so dumb. He has these like fold out wings that look like fake bat wings, and then he immediately just drops them and like leaves them. And I'm like, it's just, basically some people have really good outfits, and some people's outfits look like shit. Okay, and in this case, some of these outfits are just awful, and some are much better. This one didn't look good. It was pretty dumb. Okay, so the match begins, and it's weird and dangerous. I'm just going to put it that way. Why is it weird and dangerous? For some odd reason, these two guys, I don't know if they went off the script or one of them pissed off the other, but they started doing kind of like dangerous things. Like at one point, Damian Priest takes his chair and he chucks it across the ring, like as fast and hard as he possibly can at Drew McIntyre. And basically he goes, whoa, like you could tell he just moves and goes like this as the chair chucks by him. And it's like, if he wasn't paying attention at that very moment, that chair could have literally clocked him right in the head and gave him a concussion. So why the hell did he throw it like that? It was kind of confusing. I was scratching my head like, what happened? Do these guys really have heat, or did one piss off the other and now they're doing this to each other? I don't know. There's a Razor's Edge through a table spot. That's kind of cool, where Priest nails the Razor's Edge on Drew through a table, and they actually mentioned that his favorite wrestler of all time was Razor Ramon. So that's kind of cool. Scott Hall, that he's just like an homage to him. Future Shock DDT on top of the steel stairs. Done pretty well. Pretty safe. Priest goes off the top rope backwards through the tables. Basically what happens is Priest is going up to do like a move from the top turnbuckle, and Drew catches him and hits him, and he flies out of the ring on top of pre-set up tables. And the spot itself looks pretty good. And I was like, oh, that was a pretty good setup spot that, you know, they put those tables out there previously and it was there now for the spot later on in the show, or later on in the match, I should say. So how does it end? Basically, Drew McIntyre sets up a steel chair on the ring post, between the ring post, and the ropes. And then he puts Damian there, and he just does a giant claymore into Damian Priest's head, into the chair, and then pins him 1, 2, 3. And so basically, it's a really brutal match, and it's actually a pretty entertaining match. The thing is, the match kind of doesn't matter. It's just supposed to be like this grudge match or whatever. But frankly, does it really matter if Drew or Priest won this? Neither of them are in the title picture. Neither of them really have the kind of momentum or even the kind of prestige that they once had, I could say. Sadly, I feel like both of these guys have been forgotten by WWE and kind of brushed under the rug. But, I could talk about Drew McIntyre more because he's been more on Raw, and I've followed Raw since January. But if you think about it, he literally has lost or jobbed out every major single match that he's been in. Every match that mattered against anyone, he's lost. So it makes him look weak. But people insist to me that last summer there was this great plot line where it was Punk versus him, and it culminated in the steel cage match or whatever, and it was really good. I'm like, that's all good, but I don't know. Like, to me, I just don't care. You know what I mean? Like, if this was leading to, one of them will get a title match, or one of them will be boosted in some way, but instead it's just like, it was just a throwaway match. So it was a good match that really went nowhere and had no consequences of Drew winning. I don't expect Drew now to be propelled to the front. Like, will Drew now be wrestling Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight title? I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see that. I mean, Drew, I don't know. He's just going to float around. Thank you to Willie Bawanka, who just gifted a sub over on Kick. I appreciate that. So with that, now we are up to $90. We are a mere $10 away from our first Topps Chrome trading card unpacking. Let's hit it. Who's going to do the $10 right now to get us to the 100 so we can open a pack? Let's do it right now. All right, let's hit it. Okay. The next match was the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental title. All right. So, how did it go? First of all, they all come out to their various entrances. They start off with Penta, and let's be honest, his entrance is nice, and I like that stepping he does. He goes like this, and he starts going like slow stepping like this, back and forth. I actually like that. It's very charismatic. I don't know where he got that from, but it's one of his things, one of his characteristics. I actually kind of like that. Let's see. Dom comes out next, and what the funny part about this is, I have literally never heard Dominic Mysterio's theme before. Not once. Right? Whenever he comes out, he's coming out as part of Judgment Day or he's doing something else. They played this theme. I'd never heard it before. And I was like, is that actually Dom's theme? I didn't even know he had an individual theme. So, I don't know. It was interesting. I'd like to hear it again because I don't remember it because it's the first time I ever heard it. He came out at first in luchador gear, but then took off the mask, and it's revealed that apparently was Rey Mysterio's mask. And I guess there was a storyline previously where he had stolen the mask from Rey, which I guess he was supposed to earn it, but he stole it or something. I don't know, because I don't know the previous plot. But I guess it was nice to tie that into his past plots with Rey that he wore it at WrestleMania. Finn Balor comes in, and man, his entrance just sucks. Because what it is, it's a very bastardized version of his old Demon Balor theme. And I just don't like it. It's very shitty, and it's like fake, like hip-hop version. And Finn, you could tell, is not a hip-hop guy. So I don't understand why they're playing this theme like this. It just sounds like shit. And then lastly, of course, Braun Breaker comes in. And, I mean, we know Braun's dropping this title tonight. Like, we can all tell. Braun Breaker is dropping the title. We're going to have a new Intercontinental Champion. Personally, I thought it was going to be Penta. Okay? So, the match is pretty good, Fatal 4-Way, where initially Dom and Finn are kind of like working together and helping each other and teaming up. But about halfway through the match, Dom all of a sudden does the dirty double cross to Finn. He tries to take out Finn, and misses, and then Finn stomps him with his trademark coup de grace. Now, there's no DQs in this match, so Carlito, who's also part of the Judgment Day, is constantly interfering in the match. Like, no lie, he's constantly interjecting himself into this match over and over and over. And he keeps getting beat up by people, but then he comes back in. All right. At one point, Braun Breaker super spears Carlito through the Spanish announce table, taking him out of the rest of the match. Okay. The crowd seems to love Dom. And this is the weird thing, is that Dominic Mysterio, up to this point, whenever I've seen him on TV, he has ultra heat. And what I mean by that is every single time that they see him, all right, everyone is absolutely screaming, boo, boo. He can't speak. He can't even get in a word edgewise. He can't even do a promo because when he tries, they boo him so loudly, he can't actually talk. But tonight, in this match, the crowd flipped. They had a complete change of heart. Now, what Ethan Rowell said is he thinks the reason that happened is because the crowd wanted to see him actually win a title. And this was a way to have him actually win the title, and so they were behind him. But for me, I don't know. I just think what it is sometimes at WrestleMania, the crowds want to see the underdog win. And let's be honest, out of everyone in this match, Dom is the underdog. He's definitely the most green of all of them. He's incredibly skinny. And, it's not believable that he would actually win this match. So maybe if he just finds a way to win, it's like the unlikely David versus Goliath win. And I think maybe that's what was happening during the match. The crowd liked that he was turning on Finn, doing this stuff to try to win. They kind of liked that. Okay. So the crowd is going crazy for Dom. Let's see here. Oh, Finn stomps Braun Breaker with the coup de grace. And then out of nowhere, Dom does his flying Mysterio splash and gets the pin on Finn and wins. And the crowd erupts and goes crazy. This is hilarious. Dom grabs the title and he runs away from the ring. And it's like, oh, it's kind of like similar to the New Day on day one where they won, they grabbed the titles and they ran out of there, right? But then all of a sudden, he goes all the way up the ramp and the crowd is cheering, Dom, like they're going crazy for him. And then the camera angle cuts back, and all of a sudden, he's running back to the ring, and now he's posing with the title like a hero. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, I think I know what happened. So WWE never in a million years expected that the crowd was actually going to turn and like Dom tonight. They thought they were going to continue with this plot where he's the most hated dude, and to give him the win was like the ultimate twist, right? But the crowd completely flipped. So when they did, they told him, hey, go back down there and go do a pose and a victory lap like you're the hero. And he had no clue he was going to do that. And they told him to go back down and do it. So he did. At least that's what it looked like to me. Like, it looked like that was not planned or scripted. It looked like that was completely organic, happened on the fly. And someone said, oh shit, go down there and celebrate because, you look like an idiot if you don't. And so he did. So that was kind of cool. And Dom being the Intercontinental Champion, you have to wonder, if the crowd's behind him now, how can they continue to make him the villain? Will it flip? Will it now be that like Dom and Liv are faces in Judgment Day, but Finn is the heel and Finn's angry because Dom turned on him and beat him at WrestleMania? Maybe they throw Finn out of Judgment Day. I could definitely see this actually turning Judgment Day into a face faction because Carlito's funny and charismatic and he could play either side. I think Dom can do it. Liv has been a face before, so maybe that's what'll happen. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting twist, no? There's also another twist coming up when we talk about the women's tag match, all right? And I kind of have a theory of something that might happen, but I'm not sure. But we'll talk about that in a little bit, okay? Up next was Randy Orton's match, and he comes into the ring, and he says, that's it, I'm ready. My opponent KO isn't here, so open challenge, let's go. And so the lights turn on, it's all white. It's like blinding white light, and you're like, what is going on? And all of a sudden, the doors open, and it's that theme. We believe in John Hendry. What the? And Joe Hendry walks out. For those who don't know, Joe Hendry is the TNA champion. And WWE has been doing crossovers with TNA recently. And they had Joe Hendry in the Royal Rumble, and he was in there for a little bit, but he didn't really do much, and he got eliminated relatively fast, so it didn't really matter. So now they actually have him, coming out, and the entrance is amazing. Like, the music is sick. It's like a country rock, epic, inspirational, positive theme. Like, crazy good, right? Like, oh my God, this guy could really do stuff, I guess. I've never seen him wrestle outside of the Royal Rumble. If he's still the TNA champion, because, he was the champion at the Royal Rumble, it's now April, he's held his belt, I guess maybe he's believable. Maybe this will be a good match, right? No, not at all. It was awful. So he comes out, and they have some fighting back and forth a little bit. A lot of "we believe" chants from the crowd, but it seems like the crowd is the only one that does believe. At one point, Hendry is beating up Orton, but Orton immediately turns the tides. Hendry tries to do a choke slam to Orton, but Orton shrugs it off like, "What are you, crazy? What makes you think you can choke slam me? You're much smaller than me." So he no-sells it that he can't do it, right? So Orton thumbs him in the eye disrespectfully. And then Hendry grabs him and does a release sidewalk slam, kips up, and does his twisting turnaround pose, where basically he'll do something in the back, then he'll go just like that. And as he's doing it, even though he literally just got release sidewalk slammed, Randy Orton just hits him with an RKO out of nowhere, pins him, hits him with another RKO out of nowhere, and that's it. And it's like, well, that was disappointing. If it was KO, it would have been a serious match. This was not a serious match at all. It was kind of like it made Joe Hendry look really shitty. So, yeah, it was disappointing. I was hoping for someone better than that. If they were going to have Joe Hendry as the guest wrestler to wrestle Orton, why not do a real match? Anyway, Travis Scott came out, and I wrote here, Travis Scott can eat out of my ass. I wrote that right there. That's what I thought about the Travis Scott segment that they did. Up next was AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Took some interesting notes during this match because this was the longest, most extended match of Logan Paul that I've ever seen. Number one, I said, Logan Paul looks like someone, but I can't quite put my finger on it. And then during the match, I realized he looks like Edge. Like his body type, a lot of his style. He definitely reminds me of a younger Edge. And I was like, that's that. I wonder if he's emulating Edge in a lot of ways, what he's trying to do in the ring or not. I'm not sure. But definitely older Edge, or younger Edge, excuse me, is who he reminds me of. So lots of stupid spots where he's posing for the cameras and all of this. But in reality, this match is very lengthy. Okay? Very lengthy. There's a lot of back and forth. What's shocking is that you would think the veteran AJ Styles versus the relative newcomer Logan Paul. All right? You would think that basically AJ would have one up on him because of his experience, because of, his endurance. No. Basically, AJ treats Logan Paul as his equal. Now, does it make the match better technically? Because obviously if this is a real test of experience, and versus this guy, AJ has way more endurance, way more technicality, and can beat the shit out of this guy if he wanted to. At least if you look at how long AJ's been doing it, the matches he's been in over his career. But they want to make this look believable. So they do. But frankly, I just don't buy Logan Paul beating AJ in a match like this. I don't. I'm sorry, okay? So overall, it's getting disappointing because the match is going on and on. As it drags on longer, you would think, the plot line will be that Logan Paul's never been in a match this long and he'll get tired, but AJ's the veteran. He's used to it. No. They're both gassed, basically, by the end of the match. And I'm like, well, that sucks. So then out of nowhere, apparently, Logan Paul has a friend named Jeff. I wouldn't know who the fuck that is because I've never watched a single moment of Logan Paul's content outside of him performing in WWE. But I guess they're trying to explain really quick. They're like, so Logan Paul has a friend named Jeff that's on his show on YouTube. And look, Jeff is trying to sneak in and give him brass knuckles. But look, Karrion Kross is here. And Karrion Kross strikes Jeff, takes the brass knuckles, and he throws them in the ring and says, AJ, you've got to use these. You got to use these brass knuckles to win. Because remember what's at stake here. It's not just you being Logan Paul, but it's keeping losers like him, outsiders, out of the business. You got to do this and win for us. So AJ says, okay, and then he punches Karrion Kross right in the face to say, no, I'm not going to do what you want me to do. But then as he goes into the ring, Logan Paul hits him with an unexpected titanium right punch, which I don't understand. They're saying, oh, Logan Paul previously had an injury and he has a titanium plate in his hand. So if that were the case, wouldn't that be illegal? Like, wouldn't it be illegal to do a straight strike with a titanium plated right hand? Why wouldn't it be? That's a foreign object. What's the difference if El Grande Americano puts a metal plate in his mask, right? And that's illegal. But if you already have it installed in your hand, isn't that also illegal? This also was a plot line with Lex Luger way back in the day in the early 90s. They said that he had a metal plate in his forearm. And so his finisher would be, he would bounce off the rope and hit you with his forearm. And really weird. All right, just odd that they would allow that and that wasn't illegal, right? So anyway, he hits him with his titanium plate fist. Then he lifts him up and he does his new finisher, which they call the pulverizer, and he pins him. And that's it. So now obviously you know what's going to happen. Logan Paul's going to leave. He's not going to stick around. WrestleMania is over. He doesn't want to be there. He's not getting a paycheck. Maybe he'll be back for like SummerSlam. But in the meantime, we've got AJ Styles, who looks like he's going to get into a program with Karrion Kross. Now, here's the funny part about that, okay? Karrion Kross has been on and off WWE TV since Raw re-debuted on Netflix. He's been involved with plot lines with The Miz and Carmelo Hayes. He's been involved with plot lines of, was it Jey Uso? He's definitely been involved with AJ and a few more people. It's been like maybe 5, 6 different people that Karrion Kross has been involved with. Literally, none of them panned out to anything. He would just do this one segment and then do nothing with it. Then all of a sudden, now this AJ Styles plotline is apparently going to stick. And this is the one that they're going with. So that now it looks like this is going to continue after WrestleMania. So at least it gives AJ and Karrion Kross something to do. Quite frankly, I would have liked to see Karrion Kross wrestle. Anyway, he did actually wrestle back on SmackDown. Just so everyone knows, he did have a match. But he lost. He lost to AJ. So now I'm curious, where are they going to go with this next? Or are they just going to drop it? Is WrestleMania the end of it and they just drop it? I think that would be a complete waste of time if that's the case. But I guess we'll see. Okay? All right, guys. So I have 2 more matches to go through. And then I'm going to check and I'm going to see if Gahul is available to have him call in and be our last guest of the show. All right. So we're now heading into the final hour of the Smark Guys Super Show, WrestleMania 41 recap and reactions. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you are, again, it sure would be great if you could support the stream in some way. We're at $90 out of my 150 goal. Can we get someone to get to 100 right now? Just a super chat, 2 subs over on K. Just get us to the 100 so we could say we're 2/3 of the way there and I can do the unpacking of this pack of cards. Let's do it right now while I'm doing this next match summary. All right? Thank you. So the next match is the Women's Tag Championship. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez in matching red pleather outfits coming out versus Lyra Valkyria and a mystery partner. So they say that Bayley was attacked yesterday, and this is why she can't be Lyra Valkyria's partner. The funny part is Cole starts to explain it, stutters, and then never mentions it ever again. It's almost like he realized they didn't have a plot. Like the plot was that they wanted someone to re-debut at WrestleMania as a surprise, but they didn't write a plot for why Bayley was off TV. So he made it, oh, she got attacked. Oh, and then they just moved on. So anyway, Lyra Valkyria comes out looking like a bird. She actually has these crazy, like, how can I say, articulate wings. They look like real bird's wings with crazy amounts of colors of the feathers and everything. And it was actually impressive. I was like, whoa, that's like movie quality outfit. And this is the comparison. Take a look at Lyra Valkyria's wings, which is part of her character. It's supposed to be that she's a Valkyrie. She's like a bird hybrid or something, right? Compare that with Drew McIntyre's or the War Raiders cartoonish plastic looking outfits that look like they're really bad action figures, right? It's a joke. It's like, wow, it's just not even a comparison. You could tell hers is amazing and theirs just look like shit. Okay. Anyway, um, so who is Lyra Valkyria's mystery partner? It's who everyone thought it was going to be once Bayley was removed. It's Becky Lynch. Now, here's my question. If it's Becky Lynch, why didn't they just originally have Becky Lynch come back like a week or two ago and announce that she's going to be in this match with Lyra Valkyria? In fact, why wasn't Becky Lynch the person who had the matches and then eventually teamed up with Lyra instead of Bayley? I don't even get it. I'm totally confused. Why did they do this last minute swap instead of, you know what I'm like? I don't get it. It didn't really like do what I think they wanted. I think more people would have actually been excited if it was announced that Becky was coming back than just dropping it like this surprise in the middle of the show. So that was a weird choice for me. I wish that they had done it ahead of time. Okay. So they announced that actually they're both from the same country. I didn't know that. I didn't know they were both they're from Ireland, right? So I didn't know that Lyra Valkyria and Becky actually from like the same home country. I knew that Becky was, but I didn't even know that Lyra Valkyria was Irish. So Becky looks a lot older. You know, I haven't seen Becky in many years. Last time I saw her was, you know, pre WrestleMania 20 or whatever, when she was first time she became the man and stuff like that. She does look a lot older. Like you can tell she's got more of the age lines, wrinkle lines on her face. She has a lot more makeup on now to try to still look young, but you can tell she's older. But she's still fast. She's still got all her stamina. She could still hit all the spots. So don't really care that she looks older. She can actually still do everything, which is great. Okay. So, the match is interesting and it's good. There's no botches. Like for what I saw, unlike like the Tiffy Charlotte match or the really bad Naomi Jade match, this definitely was a good ass women's match. You got everyone in the match is very capable of doing their work, of doing the spots. Becky is back and she seems to be at full capacity. The match is a pretty damn good match in my opinion. I actually really enjoyed this match going back and forth here. So the way it ends is that Oblivion from behind, but 1-2, Becky kicks out. Okay. More exchanges back and forth. And then out of nowhere, Becky Lynch hits the manhandle and gets the pin. And I said, what's the manhandle? Back when I used to watch her, it was the Disarmer was her finisher. And I'm trying to think if she had another one, but I don't even know what the manhandle was. So she hit it and got the pin. And I was like, oh, that was a finisher? I didn't even know. I was like, well, that sucks. I didn't know that was happening. That's her new thing, or probably not new. It's probably like her finisher that she got when I wasn't watching or whatever, right? But I would argue that the team of Lyra and Becky works really well together. They have great chemistry. They're from the same home country. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's cool. So I actually really enjoyed the match. Now, here's the weird thing. At the end of the match, all of the announcers start saying, oh, so now Lyra has 2 belts. You know, like when Becky had 2 belts at WrestleMania several years ago and we called her Becky 2 belts. So now we can call her Lyra 2 belts. And I was like, okay, so is that the new thing? Like they want you to call her Lyra 2 belts? Is that the big new thing? And they kept saying it, like, oh yeah, she's Lyra 2 belts now, guys. Hey, look, Lyra 2 belts. Okay, I mean, the thing is, you have to understand something. When Becky became Becky 2 belts, she was white hot popular. Everyone liked her, and they loved that. Lyra Valkyria is just kind of getting her footing. Yeah, she's the Intercontinental Women's Champion, but hasn't done much with it. She's barely spoken on a microphone. She hasn't really had a major plot line yet. And now you're going to already make her Lyra 2 belts? I feel like it's a little early. Just saying. Okay? A horsewoman she is currently not. Let's put it that way. All right? Okay. By the way, I should mention this because I forgot to mention it. On night one, HBK actually had come into the show at one point just to say, hey, everyone, thanks for coming. Attendance is like 61,000 people. And if you're not down with that, I got 2 words for you. And that was it. This night 2, Stone Cold Steve Austin comes in, and he comes in driving a 4-wheeler, and he starts whipping it around the ring, and he loses control of the 4-wheeler, and he literally drives the 4-wheeler directly into one of the walls where all the fans are standing, which is an LED wall. The whole wall moves, and you can see people go like, oh, get pushed back. So that's what Ethan Ralph was mentioning earlier, is that there's potential that some people might have actually gotten hurt when they got hit by this wall. It's not for sure, but definitely it looked like someone got clobbered when he hit them with the wall. Now, he got off the four-wheeler and he talked to them a little bit, but man, that's a payday. Like, seriously, he could easily just back away and be like, hey, I got hurt by that, and sue the shit out of WWE. So, kind of sucks. Then, Austin came into the ring and basically did his little thing, his little shtick, and he said 63,226 in attendance for night 2 of WrestleMania. And that's at least 2,000 to 3,000 more than night 1. It's a little weird that they had way more night 2. Like, did everyone miss night 1? Because arguably, I would say out of the 2 nights, night 1 was actually better. The Jey Uso Gunther match, the triple threat main event, the Intercontinental title match, the U.S. title match. I keep saying the wrong belt. We're all better than most of the stuff on night 2. So if you missed night 1, you really missed out. Can you imagine 2,000 to 3,000 people bought these insanely expensive tickets and never showed up? All right. Shout out to Luna the Moth King. Luna the Moth King just gifted 2 subs over on Kick. Thank you, Luna the Moth King. And with that, it means we have hit $100 of contributions. So what I would like to do, as I promised, I would like to unpack one of the pack of Topps trading cards for you guys right now. We'll see who we get. And then we're going to do the final recap of the John Cena and Cody Rhodes match. And then we're going to get Kahula on the show to end for the last half hour. Okay? Sound good? All right, let me go grab a pack of cards. Here we are. All right, let's do it. Let's turn those effects off. Let's do it. Let's see who we get. All right, so each pack has 4 cards. All right, card number 1. I'm going to actually turn on the manual focus. It's going to look blurry for a second. Card number 1 is Miles Bourne. Who is Miles Bourne? I have no idea. He's got a baby face, and he's apparently on NXT, is what it says on the back. But I've never heard of Miles Bourne. There's our first card. Most people in chat have no idea who he is. But he has a baby face and a dad bod, says Frank Michael. Yes. Okay, Miles Bourne, no one knows who the hell he is. Card number 2. Bronson Reed from Monday Night Raw. And this is one of the refractor chrome cards, as you can see. It's got the rainbow tint around the edges. So to my knowledge is that Bronson Reed last year actually was huge on Raw and went on a tear and had a bunch of good rivalries. But I don't know what happened to him because he hasn't been on TV the entire year that I've been watching WWE. So I have no idea where he is. I don't know what happened, but it is a cool refractor card. Okay? Number 3. It's J.D. McDonough, member of the Judgment Day, who got injured, right? And hasn't been on TV since January, correct? Now, wasn't he previously on NXT UK as a completely different name? Because I remember this guy. I remember his look, but I remember, I remember him from NXT UK, but he wasn't called JD McDonough, I don't think. I think he had a different name. So, anyway, there's his card. He was called Jordan Devlin. Thank you. Yes, he was Jordan Devlin on NXT UK, and now he's JD McDonough, but he's been injured since January. So I guess this is the pack of injureds. So apparently Bronson Reed got injured at Survivor Series. He's been out the entire time. And now we've got Jordan Devlin / JD McDonough. He got injured in January, and he's been out the entire time. Wow. All right, the last card. From Monday Night Raw, Braun Breaker. It's a good one. I'm very curious to see what plot line they're going to give Braun now. Some people think that he's going to get a title match, like a real title match. Maybe he'll go against Jey Uso. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Well, Braun Breaker, there you go. All right. Well, at the very least, we got Braun Breaker. I'd say that's a good pull. Sadly, he was not my refractor. I wish he was the refractor there. He was not. All right. Now, if we happen to hit $200 of support by the end of this stream, all right, then we'll open another pack. Remember, I have 4 left. And every pack, we're increasing the chance that we're going to get the rare pull, the numbered card that should look nice. Okay. So let's get number 1. Let's hit the goal of 150 by the end of the stream, because that's the goal I have for every single stream. And I want to hit that by 4 o'clock when we end. And let's get enough to do a second pull at 200. All right. And I'll say this, let's not waste time. If you're going to support this stream and you're going to support Smark, guys, and you like what I've done all year long with this show, please support it right now. Let's hit it now, so that way we can celebrate, we can do everything, and then I can get Gahul on and we can finish the show. Not that I have to interrupt his segment where he's going to be telling us his thoughts with the shout-outs. Let's do it right now, okay? So let's go. Okay, so the main event, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. John Cena enters first, and the entire stage goes black. There's no graphics, no lighting, nothing. And then all of a sudden, it just says John Cena in white letters. And then down the ramp, it says John Cena in white letters. And that's it. That's all it says. So basically, John Cena is really going ultra minimalist. And what I mean by that is he said to everyone weeks ago, to the crowd, he said, guys, I am not going to give you anything new whatsoever. I'm not going to present you with any new graphics, any new outfits, a new gimmick, nothing. You get nothing because you don't deserve it. You're the undeserving crowd that never gave me a lick of anything. So you get nothing. Okay? Man, did this entrance represent that. And honestly, I liked the entrance. I mean, it would have been great to do something heelish or whatever, but instead he completely abstains and just walks down with black lights on, and that's it. Okay? So, then Cody Rhodes enters, and as Cody Rhodes starts to come out, they announce, this match is brought to you by Drumstick. Drumstick, you know what that is? That's the ice cream cone that has chocolate on it with nuts that you buy in the grocery store. That's what we have to hear in the main event of WrestleMania, the biggest plot line in all of pro wrestling. John Cena going for the record 17 title wins to break Ric Flair's record, to become the most awarded champion in WWE history, to take that title hostage for the rest of the year and make it so that everyone else has to get a toy title because he's keeping the real title no matter what. The culmination of the plot line where he says that Cody Rhodes is a paper champion and a fake champion who used to be a chauffeur and is just trying to emulate him, and that he stole all of his ideas and his persona. Brought to you by Drumstick frozen ice cream cones. Thanks a lot, WWE. That's really what I needed to hear right during this entrance. I really appreciated that. And I ran out and immediately bought some drumsticks, except I didn't because it was past midnight and all the stores were closed. Anyway, so then Cody Rhodes comes out. And as he's coming out, all of a sudden, motorcyclists start driving back and forth across the stage for some bizarre reason. Cody Rhodes comes out in what appears to be like a helmet, like a cyclist helmet, but then it unfolds and it's like this skull thing comes up and off. And I think, isn't it true that last year he also had a very similar, it was like a skull crown. So now he's coming off with the skull helmet, I guess. I guess if that's his thing, it was a little weird. It didn't look great. It looked okay, but it didn't look great or anything. Again, they're going for these weird outfits as they come out, and sometimes they hit and sometimes they don't. This one's kind of eh. So anyway, so it's an absolutely amazing entrance. He's coming down the ramp, and he's slow. It's pyro out the ass, lighting, American flag out the ass. His outfit looks good. But there's one thing, one really big thing missing. The crowd can't be heard singing his song at WrestleMania. I would argue that the thing that makes his entrance popular is that the crowd gets into it and sings the song, and you can hear them singing all the lyrics. When you strip away the crowd because you're in such a huge arena and you can't hear them singing, it sucks. It's the stupid, yum, 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 so gonna go with your control. It's like really whiny, shitty music. I'm just sorry, it just is. It's frustrating. So without them singing it, I don't think that the entrance sounded very good. I'll be honest, I think that when he entered in Europe or even recent weeks, I think those entrances really popped. But when he comes out here and all you hear is, stub my toe and now I'm angry. It's bad. I don't like it. All right. So anyway, in a nutshell, because I wrote play-by-play everything that happened in this match. All right. And what I will say is, definitely this night was a night of the crowd flipping and liking the heels. The crowd was actually cheering on John Cena during this match, like significantly cheering on John Cena. So, yeah, it was a fun match because of that. Was Cena hitting spots? Yes. But was Cena as fast as he used to be? No. Was Cena able to do all the stuff that he used to do? No. Definitely not. He's definitely lost a step. And I mean, it's probably a combination of ring rust and age. He doesn't wrestle all the time anymore. I mean, hell, how dumb was it that he had his promo against Cody 2 weeks ago and was off the freaking show for 2 weeks? So how is he supposed to be in practice, right? So anyway, the match was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't the best. It was a decent match. I'll put it that way. All right. And there was a lot of back and forth. At one point, the ref gets bumped. And when the ref gets bumped, Cody hits Cena with the crossroads, pins him. There's no ref to count. It's obvious that the ref would have counted to 3. This reminds me of back in the day, the Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior match, where the ref got bumped, and then Hogan pins Warrior, there's no ref. Warrior pins Hogan, there's no ref. It's frustrating, right? So finally, at the very tail end of the match, all right, it looks like John Cena is probably going to win this match, but then Cody starts to come back, and you don't know what's going to happen. All of a sudden, Cena decides to take the turnbuckle cover off of the turnbuckle, and as he's doing this, all right, he grabs Cody, smashes him headfirst repeatedly into it. Then he puts him into an attitude adjustment. 1, 2, kicks out. No way. So is Cody superhuman or what? It's crazy. He just slammed him against the turnbuckle, did his finisher. He still kicked out. So you think, now's the time that something epic is going to happen. And all of a sudden, music starts playing, and they cut to the stage. You're like, this is it. Here comes The Rock. This is what we've been waiting for. The big payout. The Rock's going to come out. Maybe then someone else will come out. Well, a big brawl, kind of similar to last year. We had so many people coming out at the end of WrestleMania. A big, everything ensues to make sure Roman Reigns loses, right? And then they actually show the stage, and they show who's coming out. It's Travis Scott holding a replica hardcore title from the early 2000s. And it's like, Oh, come on, man. Are you for real? Like, that's who you got coming out by himself? He walks to the ring. Cena raises his hand. Cena holds Cody Rhodes. No. Crossroads. Oh, no. The ref comes. 1, 2. Travis Scott pulls the ref out of the ring. Oh, no. This is going to be awful, right? Cody wants Travis. I want Travis Scott. You punched me. You gave me that black eye last month at the end of Elimination Chamber, right? So he does a crossroads to Travis Scott, but John Cena has the belt in his hands. There's a tug of war for the belt. Cody Rhodes wins the tug of war, but refuses to use the belt against John Cena, despite the fact that the ref is out and wouldn't see it. He refuses to cheat to win because he is the true American hero and will never cheat to win. And as that happens, John Cena kicks him square in the Rhodes family jewels. Ow. And then he hits him with the belt. And then he pins him, and the ref just happens to be there. 1, 2, 3. That's the end of WrestleMania. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time to see if I can get Gahul on the show. What do you think? All right, and I actually seem to have you the right size by complete chance, because I had to reposition earlier, but yeah, you're on here, and you're the right size. Good stuff. How you doing,
Sounds
man?
good, man.
How's everything going?
Things are going pretty good. It's been it's been a good day, but it was a long weekend. Despite WrestleMania only being like 4 hours each night, I feel like exhausted from wrestling, which
Me
has
too.
honestly not happened since WrestleMania's gone to 2 nights. That's usually like after like most manias when it was one night, it's like I'm done watching wrestling for like 2 or 3 months. I don't have to watch this again. But after the 2 nights, it's like it's a bit shorter. Usually gets a little bit easier to digest. So I'm usually like, okay, back to more wrestling on Monday now after the 2 nights. But this is the first year where it's like I'm just gonna take like a couple weeks off. Maybe I'll start watching again at Backlash, or maybe I'll watch Dynamite or something. But it was a slog of a show. You can't deny that, right? It was not fun to get.
Totally agree. What I was saying earlier, well, by the way, I'm trying to up your decibel level. Everyone in chat, let me know how he sounds because I'm trying to make his mic a little louder here.
If you need me to increase my gain on my end, let me know. I can jump it up.
Yeah, let's see. I'm trying. Where's my mic now? There I am. See, I'm definitely louder. You guys let me know. I tried to up his volume, guys. Let me know how he sounds. But yeah, like each night was around 4 hours. And like I said, like I feel like each night there was one match that surprised me with how good it was because I didn't think it was going to be that good. But a lot of the matches ended up having outcomes that were heelish, like the heel would go over. And that's okay the first couple times it happens. But then after a while, like every heel is winning, it gets more exhausting because when you're watching WrestleMania, you're hoping to get like the culmination of plot lines and you want to get that like victorious feeling, like at the end of the road, the hero wins or whatever. And it just kept not happening like over and over and over. And
Yes.
I just thought that some of the matches were real slogs and weren't as good as they thought they were going to be. And so you're right. Like basically when I went ahead and was watching last night, I was just like getting really tired and I just wanted to end. I started skipping parts of matches and that's not good. You want to be enjoying the whole product. And I didn't feel like that. It was just too much.
And it's not like it's like difficult to like sit and watch wrestling, but it gets boring. It's not like it's like you just get so bored watching. It's like, man, when it's bad, and there's good bad in wrestling. You can have a train wreck match be entertaining, right? In a lot of ways, but this was not a fun. And frankly, the problem with there's this account on Twitter where it's like the minutes between matches for WWE, and both nights over half the show was not wrestling.
Wow.
It was like video packages or ads or commercials.
The ads were atrocious. There's so many wedged in there. It's like, come on, it's WrestleMania. You got so many people watching. You really have to make a few extra bucks here to talk about a drumstick, ice cream cone.
Well,
like, what are you talking about, man? No one cares about this shit.
The product placement in the actual thing is one thing. Or the one thing that was funny was during the Dom Mysterio match, the sponsor for that match was the Dude Wipes. You know, it's like, oh, it's it was just like that was funny. I was actually like, okay, appropriate, appropriate sponsor for that one. Um, I well, here's what I thought on the show overall.
Sure. Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear your
I-
overall thoughts, and I'd like to hear like your favorite match, your least favorite match, etc. That kind of stuff.
I'll start with night one. Night one, up till the main event, was like probably like the worst WrestleMania of all time.
Ah.
I don't maybe I'm exaggerating. There's probably some worse ones, like the one with was it the Caesar's Palace one, the OG Vegas one, you know,
Oh,
that one
wow,
was
yeah.
probably worse.
Remember that? Yeah.
Or maybe the Bam Bam Bigelow versus the one football player, that might have been
Lawrence
worse,
Taylor.
but yes.
What a
but
man! What a mighty
that,
good man! How could you not like that match? It was amazing. How dare you?
right. But like if you look at the history of WrestleMania, I think like if especially in the modern history of WrestleMania, that like first night was so bad and like devoid of anything like you would consider like a WrestleMania moment. They say it's what Vince would say, and they say it's the WrestleMania moment. And besides the main event, which was excellent, and I also enjoyed Charlotte versus Tiffany a little bit. I know some people didn't like that one, but I actually thought that one was okay. Wasn't amazing, but and also I felt it was like that one was closer to a WrestleMania because it's a big title match and a big show. It wasn't amazing, but you know, besides that main event, like that whole show is kind of like this could be an episode of Raw. This would be like a bad episode of Raw. This would be like an episode of like Main Event that you'd see on like, you know, the WWE Network. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a quality. It's not up to the standard of what a WrestleMania show should be. Including the Jay versus Gunther match, which was a fucking travesty. That was horrible. I don't even have. Even if you want Jay to go over, it's fine. I'm okay with Jay winning. Actually, it's not the problem. But the way the execution, how the match was put together, the actual work in the match, it was really bad. Like it was way worse than even I was expecting.
Well,
I thought it wasn't going to be good.
the way I put it was, what they did in that match was what should have been happening over a course of months, where they're building Jay to be a reputable wrestler that could actually face Gunther and beat him. But the entire 3-month buildup was he sucks, he's botching, he sucks, again, he's just yeeting, he has no confidence in himself. So now in this match, all of a sudden, we're supposed to magically believe that he can kick out from multiple power bombs, he can escape from the submission hold, all the things that used to beat him. All of a sudden, he magically now can defeat for no reason. Like, where was the story where he learned how to beat all these moves or whatever? It never happened. Now, I'm okay with him winning. I'm just not okay with him winning. And now, the way that he won, by submitting Gunther with his own move and Gunther tapping out like a pussy within 5 seconds, now Gunther, where does that leave him? He looks like an asshole and he has nothing to do. So I think it was like, at what expense to get Jay over at this point? I think it was a really bad sacrifice that they made.
Hot take. Did we even get Jay that much more over? Yeah, sure, he won the title, but like the match was so bad. I think just the match itself, like the actual work inside, like the moves, you know, how the execution of the match was, it was so bad. I didn't feel like Jay's a bigger star coming out of this. He's about the same level as he was before. He just has a title now, right? Everyone online's clamoring for him to lose tomorrow night or tonight.
wow.
To have Seth Rollins or someone have him like drop the belt in a day, have like a short reign, or he's gonna lose it at Backlash or something. Right, which I mean, you don't want to do that, but so I don't think it helped Jay. Don't think it helped Gunther. Don't think it helped anyone. It was just that was probably until Cody versus Cena. I think that was probably the worst thing on any of the nights. But we'll get and so if night one was, I mean, night one basically one of the worst WrestleManias of all time until the main event, which was excellent and probably the best match across both nights. I mean, it wasn't my favorite one. My favorite was probably. I don't even know. I mean, it might be the Intercontinental title match, the Braun Breaker one. That probably was my personal. That was my personal favorite actual in-ring match. But in terms of like dramatic matches, like, you know, that's gonna be the one that's gonna be the match people remember from the show was that night one main event. Night two, exact opposite problem. Most of the show was a pretty quality WrestleMania card, I thought. Right? You know, there was moments, some of the matches weren't as good, but they all had like exciting moments where they felt like big storyline payoffs, with the odd exception, you know, Drew versus Damian Priest wasn't exactly that great.
Yeah, I agree there.
But then the main event happens, and the main event is such a fucking stinker. It's so not good. It's the execution. I mean, like, if you think about, like, frankly, Travis Scott ruined the whole thing.
Yes.
I mean, you could have had this.
Zillion% agree with you there. I don't think. I mean, do you think there was one person watching WrestleMania who was like, "Oh, Travis Scott is gonna come out now"? Like, who would have reacted like that at all?
Everyone. So you say everyone popped big when his music hit because they thought, oh, Travis Scott's coming out. That means The Rock's coming out now,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And then The Rock didn't come out. It's like, who gives a shit? It's just Travis Scott. Like, I'm sorry, you can. I'm sure he's big to the music hip hop people, but like in general, I think hip hop has kind of isolated itself because it gets such a big crowd within the hip hop scene. But hip hop doesn't have the mainstream appeal as like regular pop music or like rock music did back in the day, where like these stars kind of transcended and became like pop culture icons.
Exactly.
And they kind of do. Hip hop does have that to some extent. And Travis Scott is kind of a name people would know, but they don't care as much, right? Like if you think hypothetically, like go back like 10, 15 years and say like this was, I don't know, Mick Jagger, right, came out in the main event of WrestleMania and beat up, Stone Cold Steve Austin. That would have been crazy. It wouldn't have made any sense. It would have been terrible, probably wrestling. But at least people would know. It's like, oh my god, that's Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones or whoever mainstream pop music
Here's
star.
another thing too, and this is what I don't get: who on planet Earth thinks Travis Scott is a tough guy? Like he's a mumble rapper. You know what I'm saying? He's a skinny mumble rapper. I don't buy him. He's gonna hit the ring. He's gonna try to attack Cody. It's stupid. If you have someone out there, like for example, when they had Mike Tyson as part of plot lines, that I buy. He was a badass. He was a great boxer. Get him in a ring with HBK or Triple H or someone. I get it. You put Travis Scott in a ring with a pro wrestler. I don't care. It's fucking stupid. And it like what I was saying earlier on the show, the music that he portrays, fine. I don't like it. Big deal. That's not the criticism here. The criticism is when you think pro wrestling, do you think mumble rap? Of course you don't.
No.
You think of energetic, rock music or something. You don't think of mumble rap. And they're really trying hard to wedge this into the product now. And it's just, and especially when you put it in the main event, what are you thinking? You have to have The Rock there to legitimize it. That's why people didn't really mind it at Elimination Chamber. But just having him there was a freaking travesty.
Yes, travesty. I see what
Scott
you did
travesty.
there.
There you go.
It's just like you could make the argument for like old school like gangster rap or like like when Snoop Dogg comes out at WrestleMania. He came out in the Hollywood WrestleMania and he did that match, or wasn't supposed to do the match, but he ended up doing a match.
Right.
That's fine because Snoop Dogg kind of actually fits. Like that kind of style of rap does fit wrestling. That energy, mumble rap. You're right. It doesn't fit. But regardless, the main point is Travis Scott should not have any just plain celebrity, regardless of who it is, even if it was a big celebrity, right? Like a real thing, should not be interfering in the main event of WrestleMania for like John Cena's like last world title win,
Right.
for his historic record breaking, which isn't true. Obviously, Ric Flair did have like 20 world titles back in the day. I know that's a big, people say he had 16 world titles. That's what WWE says, but if you count everything, he had like 25 or something.
Right.
They just don't count a bunch.
But
But John Cena's supposed to be like this big, like, oh my god, the greatest of all time. He wins, and it's because of a fucking celebrity mumble rapper, like not even doing anything. He just appeared and like distracted Cody.
Right.
So really, what it should have been was there should have been nothing. Like you should have had Cena cheat. You should have had to have him hit them. What should have happened is you could have cut the Travis Scott stuff out completely. Have Cody, hit the ref, have him maybe go out to the outside, then Cena goes and gets the belt, and then they could have just gone from the belt spot right there. They could have cut Travis Scott out completely, and then Cena hits a low blow. It would have been better, but it still would have been good. It's just the actual match before that wasn't even good. It was kind of like really shittily worked, and you could see Cena calling the spots out, which is what he does. That's how he works.
You remember that used to be the on Botchamania. You talk too much. Always John Cena calling out every freaking spot in the ring, and you could catch him doing it. Yes.
Yeah, so you can see him talking, right, which is fine, but like it's just like the pace is wrong. They don't gel. They're not wrestling right together. Their styles don't really mesh well together for some reason, which I don't know how that happens. Cody and Cena on paper sounds like it'd be a good matchup, but didn't happen. But in the end, it just stunk up the room, and we could talk about the details of what happened during the night before, right? But I mean, this whole WrestleMania card.
Go ahead. Yeah, overall, what did you think of the whole card? That's actually what I was going to say.
The whole WrestleMania card, the whole WrestleMania show really hinged on this match being good. So this match being bad meant the whole show was bad. Even though like I would say night 2, if you cut out the main event, was a pretty fun WrestleMania. Like there's, the couple good returns, some nice debuts and stuff. There's a lot of fun moments. There's some good title changes. Some of it's heels winning, but sometimes when a title change happens, even if it's a heel, it's still kind of like a exciting moment, right? Like when the New Day beat War Raiders, right? Um, that was a not a great moment, but it was still like, oh, it's an exciting title change, cool, right?
At least
Or
they're going to do
when
something better than what the War Raiders have been doing. They're going to have something
exactly.
interesting to happening. Exactly.
I will say though, you mentioned the costumes earlier. I was watching earlier. You mentioned the costumes,
Yeah.
which were you're right. Some of the women's costumes were better, but most of the men's costumes were really bad and plasticky looking. I obviously the reason for that is because they're gonna make toys out of all these. It's like we have to make the costumes easy to make into toys, guys. So we can sell them more toys.
Oh my God.
It's
It
all
looks so
about
bad.
milking. It's all about milking every dollar from the product, no matter what, at the expense of everything, at the expense of the quality of everything. And that's the whole story of this WrestleMania. Every single thing was stretched to milk more money out of the product as individually as can. There's sponsors everywhere, ad breaks up the wazoo, sponsors in matches in like making the matches seem trivial and less interesting because they've got like the drumstick guy dancing before the John Cena entrance or during the John Cena entrance, you know, or whatever it's gonna be, or all these matches sponsored by video games or whatever, which is fine. I mean, that's okay. You can have that, but it's you have there's a spot and time for it, and it can encroach too much into the match, including the main event where Travis Scott, the celebrity, we get the celebrity, I want to make more money because it'll be a viral moment with Travis Scott that encroached in and made the match suffer for it,
Dumb.
right?
Very dumb.
Really
So,
dumb.
so
Well,
overall, did you think that the main event of night 1 was the actual best match of all of WrestleMania, or do you think that there was a match that was better, maybe based on more of a? See, here's the thing: I really liked the main event of night 1. The one thing that drugged it down for me, we already knew the outcome. Like we already had predicted it. We already talked about it
yeah,
on the show last week. Everyone had been saying this on the internet, and for me, when you kind of know what's going to happen, it definitely takes that air of fun away. Like when there's a Royal Rumble and there is no front runner to win it, I love that Royal Rumble because you don't know what's going to happen. This, we knew the outcome. We knew that Heyman was going to turn on them and join Seth. And because of that, it's boring to me. So I like the match. And in the end, I'm like, yeah, I really wish that maybe did something a little different. So to me, I didn't like that match as much, but that's why. Technically, the match was really good. It's the 3 best in the business. They're kicking each other's asses and doing all their spots, and it was a good one. So was that your favorite match, or did you like another one better overall?
that was probably my favorite moment of the show, right? I think while the ending was predictable, I actually really liked the execution, like the way it played out, like the timing of it, like the specifics, like of what beat for beat would happen, like how they reacted, how Paul Heyman reacted, Seth like holding his hand out for the chair, like he knew all along this was going to happen at the end. It was really cool. Like there was a lot of cool executions, and I like that. But in terms of most exciting match, I thought the Intercontinental title match was the best. The best, the crazy Braun Breaker stuff. I mean, Dom winning the title, which I did call. I thought that was going to happen. I thought this is the
You
time.
got
And you
me.
know
I
what?
didn't think he was winning. I thought it was Penta, but you got it. You called that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that the way they basically turned a babyface in the process. Like, I thought he was going to win as a heel, but turning babyface is really interesting. I mean, we've seen Dom as a heel for so long. Seeing Dom as a face might be the right move. Might be the right time. It's like, okay, we've gotten all we can out of him as a heel. Make him as a babyface champion, and like Finn trying to undercut him. That sounds like good. Maybe have a program with him, Finn, and Penta as a couple 3-ways. Because I think we take Braun out of the picture, obviously. But
Yeah. It
that to
was,
me,
to me, the story of that match was the crowd. The crowd completely
yes,
turned on Dom in a good way. They actually started supporting him as the underdog, the unlikely guy who wasn't going to win. And I mean, I'm sure he was shocked. Did you notice at the end of the match, he wins, he leaves the ring, and I think someone grabbed his ear and said, "Dude, they love you. Get your ass back out there and celebrate again." Because you're now the crowd
yeah,
favorite. And he ran back to the
yeah.
ring and started celebrating again. That was amazing. That's like an organic WrestleMania moment right there that you can't even predict. That was pretty awesome, in my opinion.
Yes. No, I thought that was great. I would say also the other match I really liked was the women's triple threat and the one that opened the night one. I like that one a lot. As I didn't, and frankly, I used to be the king of the incels, so me seeing a women's match is good. Kind of shows you how good that match really is. But that was a really good women's match. I thought that was really exciting. I'm glad. I was happy to see Io win. It didn't happen the way I thought it was going to go down. It was a really good match. They worked it really well. It's like a really good, solid like match. But that was beyond that. A lot of the stuff that I did enjoy was just kind of like I thought it was okay, right? Like I thought the New Day versus the War Raiders was okay. I thought Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest was just okay. Um, I don't know. It was this feeling I got, and
Mhm.
frankly, I will say this: I thought the worst matches on the show
Yes.
were
That's what I want to hear. What's the worst?
worst match on the show, and it's the obvious. I mean, discarding the John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, which was just disappointing and bad, which I thought was really bad, and the Gunther Jey Uso, taking those out of the equation, it was that Logan Paul AJ Styles match, like you were
Ah,
saying, talking about earlier. That was a really bad match. It didn't make a lot of sense. The work rate wasn't very good, and I just this whole story with like carrying Cross and all this stuff, and it just to me just stunk. It was not good. There was no excitement, and I think AJ's leaving WWE. I think that he's on his way out. Personally, um, if I was him, I would probably either retire or move on to new pastures because I just don't see WWE, at least this current administration of WWE, doing anything good for him. And he had that great world title match with Cody last year in France, which was awesome,
right.
right? But since then, I think I think they might have had a rematch of that actually. I could be wrong, but since then it's just been kind of downhill for him, and I would be looking to leave if I was him. But yeah, that's the show. It was not a I would say it was a bad WrestleMania, and it's kind of put me off watching Raw tonight. I don't really care that much. It's like
I agree.
what we're gonna find out what Paul Heyman's gonna do. We're gonna find out what John Cena's gonna do. It's like I don't really care. I can watch the clips on YouTube later. It's just kind of like it's got me in a malaise. I'm not feeling excited about WWE specifically. I'm not
Right.
feeling excited about
And
it.
I think overall, when you have a card where you didn't have as many feel good moments, you wanted to have those feel good moments because then you want to be part of that celebration and the story continuing the next day, which is exactly what happened last year. Now it's like, well, Cena won. That kind of sucks. Well, in the plot line, it's cool to see him. He's gonna be heel Cena for the rest of the year. I'm excited to see who he wrestles and stuff. But I don't need to see Raw tonight to see who he wrestles because he's not wrestling anyone for the title tonight anyway.
Yeah.
I want to see Heyman and Seth come up with a new plot or whatever they're gonna do. But you know what? It's not immediately gonna come to fruition. That's gonna be something that's gonna be drawn out. I don't give two shits who Jey Uso wrestles next. Like I really don't. Like I don't know how that's
Yeah.
even gonna be very good. So when you really look at it, I mean, what excitement do you have? Well, I want to see Dom as the IC title holder, and I want to see him be a face and see how that pans out with Finn. I do want to see that's like one interesting thing. I want to see what New Day does with the titles and if they have a good plot now or not because they haven't had one for many months. They've been doing nothing.
Yeah.
But overall, most of the outcomes were negative. When everything's negative, I don't want to tune in the next night because everything was just negative. I feel deflated. I feel like I need a break
Yeah.
rather than being excited,
Exactly.
which was what last year was. So overall, I'm with you. I think it was more of a negative show, and they made some bad choices there with some of the outcomes and or with the heavy advertising, and it just wasn't. I mean, I haven't watched a WrestleMania for 5 years. It didn't really excite me. I kind of wish I started last year, and because everyone says 40 was so good, and I feel like
Yeah.
now I want to go back and watch that because I haven't
You
seen it
should.
yet.
It's a great show. Two great main events. Both nights were great for that. Here's what I'll say. So Triple H I watched some of the post show, media scrums he does, the interviews, and he's saying, everyone sees WrestleMania as a culmination of stories. Maybe we can start. He said, I think he's something along the lines. Maybe we could start seeing it as a start of a new storyline, right? So this like these like WrestleMania matches aren't just the ending of the culmination of storylines; they're actually the starting point for new stuff. And there's some argument to be made that like Cody losing at WrestleMania 39 in Hollywood was a mistake, and that 40, while it was great in execution, could have really not gone the way it went if there's a couple of things went wrong, and that it was probably a mistake to have Cody lose the first time, and that they're comparing 39 to this one, right, where Cody lost in the big match. It's a big feel down moment. It's like afterwards you're like, what are they thinking? Why would they do that,
Right.
right? And this one, obviously, Cody losing is the problem. It's more the execution and the storyline. And they're saying, oh, well, if you wait for the long term storyline, it'll pay off later. And my argument to that would be, I mean, in 39, it was still like an enjoyable show. And even though the main event was bad, I still came away feeling that was a really great show. I want to go back and watch wrestling again. With this one, yes, there can be down moments on a story from like A to B, right? There should be some ups and downs. There should be parts which aren't as exciting. But for a WrestleMania, you need, even if it doesn't end in a sour ending, even if it's building up to next year's WrestleMania, even if it's just the first step in a long road to redemption for Cody or a long road for CM Punk to win the title or something, right? This was still a bad step and was a badly executed step on that road. It still was not satisfying. And even if it paid us off later, it's similar to like the CM Punk Drew McIntyre match at SummerSlam, right? Where eventually they had that bad blood Hell in a Cell match, which everyone loved and thought was great. But that SummerSlam match was bad. It stunk up the joint. It was just really shittily executed. It wasn't exciting. It was all to do with this fucking bracelet, which no one gave a shit about. And yeah, eventually it paid off, but that was still a bad match, and that was still that still made that show way worse. This Cody Cena match, even if they paid off later, even if there's a big storyline where it's like, oh, now the relief is here, this is what it was all for. This is still not great. There's a ways to make a feel bad moment work and not like be depressing, and this wasn't it, and this was not how you do it. So, not vote of no confidence for Triple H's booker right now. Time to rethink some of your plans and adjust how you do stuff.
Another important point to everything that you just said. When Cody lost at WrestleMania 39, they continued the story for a whole other year. It allowed them to kind of correct the mistake, build the story better, and then 40 had this giant victorious culmination beating that Roman Reigns streak. John Cena has outright said this is it for him. He's gone at the end of the year. We don't have another WrestleMania to correct this. We don't. We only have another, 6, 7, 8 months tops to correct the course here. And I mean, even if, let's say, John holds that title and he wrestles everyone, maybe he wrestles Orton next month. Maybe he wrestles CM Punk over the summer. Maybe there's a rematch at the end of the year where Cody has the big culmination. It can't happen at WrestleMania. So
yeah,
it does feel like a missed opportunity. If this was really John Cena's final WrestleMania, to do it right, you should have had The Rock in there. You should have had other people in it. What if JBL came out, for God's sakes, to fuck with them? You know,
why not?
His old heel, his thorn in his side, comes out, fuck you, Cena. He just fucking clobbers the shit out of him with the clothesline from hell. That would have been great. They did nothing with it at all. Zero.
You could have had JBL come out and come beat up Cody and like align with Cena and have like be like Cena's mouthpiece on Raw or something. You could have done a lot of stuff. You could have had literally anyone who's actually a wrestler come out and interfere with the match, and would have been better than Travis Scott, for fuck's sake. Because you hear that Travis Scott is saying that he's gonna be a full-time WWE wrestler now. That's what he wants to do. This is his full-time thing.
And again, you hear that? Does that make you want to watch more wrestling?
No,
of course not. This is missteps, big missteps, trying to get these pop culture integrations for sure. So
one thing I will say, because I don't so a couple of years ago, you weren't watching during this. Bad Bunny came in and wrestled in WWE, who's also a famous, and he's a Latino rapper, a little bit different than mumble rap, but he's like a Latinx. He doesn't speak that much English, right? His songs are all in Spanish. And he came in and he wrestled for WWE a couple times. He came in, was in the Royal Rumble. This was during COVID, I think, so he was just kind of like doing nothing. He was in the Royal Rumble. He had a WrestleMania match with Damian Priest, and then he had that amazing Backlash match in Puerto Rico against Damian Priest, which everyone ranted and raved about. And to me, that was actually bringing a celebrity musician in he's not that big. He's pretty skinny. He's got good muscle, right? But he's a pretty short and like slender guy, right? Bad Bunny. He's not like what you would look and think, oh, he's a pro wrestler. He's also like a musician. But they managed to, with good storytelling and like having him come in. He comes in as a musical guest one time, then suddenly he's in the Royal Rumble. But he's doing like Canadian Destroyers, and he's like actually like working at like being a good in-ring wrestler. And then they paid it off with some good storylines with Damian Priest, which elevated Damian Priest quite a bit. You know, they had with him, they turned that, which it's basically the same situation. You have a very famous music artist, rapper, but they actually made that work. And that's because I think Bad Bunny was like on TV a lot. He committed time to it. You know, he committed time to learning how to wrestle. He was actually very clearly a passionate fan. Whereas Travis Scott just feels like he's stepping in just because it's like, I can make him some money. Does he even give a shit about wrestling? Like, I don't know.
The other thing is, like with Bad Bunny, he wasn't ruining the world title picture. He wasn't in the main event screwing over storylines. He was in there having his own storyline that didn't fuck with the product. Travis Scott is literally right there fucking with the product, and everyone's like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, he main evented that Backlash pay-per-view, so he was in the main event of that specific story. But he pushed Damian Priest, like that exposure with Damian Priest, that match pushed Damian Priest from being kind of like a mid carder to actually being like the world champion. Right. So, and sometimes you can do that. You can have like Mr. T was at WrestleMania back in the day. You can have a celebrity and you can make it work. but it's all about execution and delivery. And they just this Travis Scott shit was executed the worst way I've ever seen them ever execute a celebrity thing ever. In the entire history of WWE, I've never seen them execute a celebrity thing worse. This was so bad.
Wow.
It was shit.
I agree. All right. Well, Gahul, first of all, thank you for being on the show last Thursday. Thanks for this appearance here during the WrestleMania Super Show. Glad to get your opinions and your takes. By the way, you got a lot of praise for being on the show on Thursday. A lot of people thought you had some of the most informed pro wrestling takes of all the co-hosts that were on. So just wanted to let you know that. So the comments were actually pretty kind in regards to your knowledge and everything going on in pro wrestling. You know more than me, obviously, because I just started again in January, but people liked your appearance. And your microphone didn't go out today. You don't sound like a robot. So that's another plus that people were a little worried about.
I make sure I restarted my computer before I came on to make sure there's no Discord issues. So that's good.
Awesome.
It's a winner.
Any final thoughts before we adjourn here?
I don't know when you'll be doing Smart Guides again. I'm assuming you're probably going to take a break because you don't want to watch wrestling like I do right
I'm definitely
now.
taking a break for this week for sure. 100%. I won't be doing it again for at least another week or two tops. So we'll see.
Yeah. I thought the show WrestleMania was disappointing, but there's always good wrestling out there. Also before we go, I want to talk a bit about just a quick minute. WWE buying AAA because I'm not sure if you talked about that. That was a big news.
That was an announcement. Yes.
Big announcement where they're buying AAA. Frankly, I think it's a terrible decision. I've watched a lot of AAA shows, and while AAA can be fun, like all Lucha Libre, it's also like a shit show. Like it's like you watch the show and they've got like guys doing cocaine on the announce desk, and they're the matches they have like these like really old guys like falling over, and it's like why the. I don't know why. I think the reason you buy it probably is you get the contract with the Mexican arenas. I think that's worth its weight in gold more so than the actual value of the product itself. It's only Vikingo. You didn't see like Psycho Clown or any of the like big AAA like actual stars besides Vikingo on any of the shows. I think they care. They'll use Vikingo obviously because he's great, but I think or like you didn't see La Parka or anything like that. I don't think you're gonna be seeing a lot of the actual. If you like AAA, I think you're. If you like Lucha Libre and AAA, this might be a bad thing overall, but I hope I'm wrong. Hopefully WWE does well with it and turns into a good thing. But I think I think this is probably a bad sign for Lucha Libre fans. Honestly, I think this is gonna go similar to NXT UK did, where they made big purchases, they moved in, and then it's not gonna pan out the way they wanted to because they can't. They're talking about AAA being traditional Lucha Libre when it's like AAA is close to like the ECW of Lucha Libre, right? It's not like it's very much trying to be like American style Lucha Libre. So we'll see how it pans out. Hopefully it works out well. But anyways, thanks for having me on, Phil. It was great. You can check out my YouTube channel, Gahul. I'm on Twitter, and I've got my website, TV Chan. So check me out there.
Sounds great, Gahul. Thank you so much for being on the show this week. Appreciate you, and I'll see you soon.
Deuces.
Bye-bye. Okay, so everyone, that was a good show in my opinion. I don't know about you, but we literally, in exactly the amount of time that I had, did everything that I wanted to do with that show. We had all of the guests on in some capacity back, all the guest hosts. We got all of their opinions on WrestleMania 41. I actually got through the entire show, bell to bell. There were no technical issues. We actually even got Discord to work. Well, that's kind of good. All right. So it's this simple. I want to thank you all. Anyone here who should I go to the actual Smark guys stream as we adjourn here? I want to thank all of you who were on this journey, this 3.5 to 4 month journey with me, as I reintegrated myself into and re-explored pro wrestling over the last several months. It was very fun. Okay, to say the least. I think that we had a great time. For me to know pro wrestling for the first time in ages, to be watching the product, to be opening silly packs of cards with all of you, to have it be a part of my content again after a decade away was something special. All right. But now I think it's time for us to seriously think about the future, because I like doing the show, but basically the show does take a lot. I have to watch a lot of wrestling to do it. I have to set up and do introductions and have guests and all of that. I feel like this show works better when I have the host than when I don't. So that's, a lot of logistics, getting them to be on and stuff like that. And also, quite frankly, I think that the show would be better if I wasn't just doing Raw and SmackDown. Like if I was every once in a while doing AEW, then maybe doing NXT, going back to Raw and SmackDown maybe a week or two before a pay-per-view, alternating like that. I think it would work a little better. And what I want to say is overall, thank you to everyone who stuck with the show, even though we had a huge change of theme, pacing, and hosts. You know, when this show first started, the idea was that the show would be 50-50 drama and wrestling. Now, as you can see, we transitioned firmly into 100% wrestling. And I think the show works as that. But sadly, people on the internet want drama. They want me screaming at people, people screaming at me. They want arguments. They want insults. And as you can see, take a look at today's show. We just did a 4-hour, incredibly solid wrestling show, only covering wrestling and WrestleMania. And we didn't even hit my support goal as if it were a normal stream. If I had played a game, I would have hit it. If I had just sat here and hung out with you guys, I would have hit it. If I had built Legos, I would have hit it. So I think this is the problem with kind of straight up commentary when it comes to a topic, is that it's very hard, especially the internet wrestling community in the last decade, from what I'm to understand, okay, in the last decade, the internet wrestling community became a lot bigger, and a lot of people are now known for being the people who do wrestling, right? It's kind of like, for example, when I play a Nintendo game, I have a great time with it, but a lot of people say, but Phil, people don't come by DSP Gaming to watch Nintendo. There's already established creators who do that. And I'm like, well, that kind of sucks because I like Nintendo and I want to share Nintendo with all of you, my passion for Nintendo first-party games, but they don't usually work that well as playthroughs. It's kind of the same thing with Smark guys. Like, in my opinion here, I'm putting in a lot of effort to watching wrestling, giving commentary on it, getting the show produced and everything here for you. But I just don't know if there's enough people who are going to come by and watch and support the show that it warrants the amount of time and effort that I put into it. Like, no lie, when I do other streams, it's very easy to set up and do. This show is the hardest show I do all week because I got to have an intro. I got to change the graphics and the color scheme. I got to have a guest that's lined up. I got to do the logistics of Discord and everything. I mean, thank God I got these headphones. These headphones work way easier than the other ones I was using. So I'm glad I bought these for Discord use. These work like a charm. But yeah, I mean, again, let's be honest. All right, compared to all the other content I'm putting out, seems like Smart Guys is getting the least attention. Is it because there's no drama? I don't know. I don't know. I would like your opinions. And right now, to be frank, I haven't made a decision. Today, if we had overwhelming numbers and support, I would have been like, we're continuing for sure. But that didn't happen, right? So I hope you guys understand. You know, I have to try to figure out what's best for my use of my time. I enjoy doing this, but it's very time consuming. So I have to figure out, do I want to take a break from it and come back in a few weeks and maybe watch a little bit of, maybe do NXT one week, AEW one week, WWE another week? Do I want to have different guest hosts in the rotation? Do I want to just do one show by myself and then maybe have a guest host the next week? Yeah, I don't even know. I would love feedback, and maybe what I'll do is I'll talk with my audience on my other streams over the next couple of weeks and try to figure it out. But overall, I want to say thank you. The journey's been great. The return to pro wrestling has been fun. And to those who have supported the pro wrestling streams, thank you so very much for watching, engaging, and supporting. Okay? I really appreciate that. But I basically need some time to think. Today, sadly, didn't give me the answers I really needed. The fact that we didn't even hit my regular stream goal, I think it speaks volumes. If I'm going to do just wrestling content, which is really what I want to do, make productive content, is it going to resonate and are people going to want to support it? And I guess the answer right now is no. So anyway, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed. This is the longest wrestling commentary show I've ever done. This is about 4 straight hours. I never did a show this long before. So I really hope that you enjoyed it. And leave me your feedback. Leave comments on this video. Come by my streams on DSP Gaming. Drop by and just let me know what you think. Should I continue? How do we do it? You know, what do you want? Or is this it? Was it a good run? Again, when I started the show, restarted the show, I should say, in January, the intention was always to go from, you know, Raw's premiere on Netflix to WrestleMania and that was it. And then reassess. And that's what we need to do is reassess. All right. But anyway, thank you all from me to you, truly. Thank you guys so very much for watching Smart Guys, whether you watched back in the day, whether you watched today with a reboot, whatever it was. I had a great time. Thank you all. And let's figure it out together. If this is goodbye forever for my wrestling content, it was worth coming back to it, and I had a great time. And I am truly grateful for those of you who did show up and engage with the content, because I do like pro wrestling overall. I don't like watching 8 to 20 hours of it every week, but I do enjoy pro wrestling, and it was great to come back to it. All right? All right, everyone. Thank you all for watching. Until whenever we meet again to talk about pro wrestling, I wish you a safe journey. And remember, don't botch when you're on the top rope. All right, guys. Thank you so very much. I'll see you in the future. Peace out.